Christmas starts here at H&L Rapid True Value. Get Christmas ready by shopping the latest in our catalog. The time brought to you by H&L Rapid True Value is...
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Crisp and refreshing. Room temperature or chilled. A pure water would drink. The temperature by Pure Water is
29 degrees Celsius in Kingston and out west in Montego Bay.
News at 5 teasers are brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, no surprise.
That's how players in the financial sector are reacting to Faval Williams' appointment as Minister of Finance and the Public Service.
Faval was a logical person put there. She was the best choice from day one.
Political commentators are divided over the JLP's decision to rerun Marissa Dalrymple-Philibert as its candidate in South Trelawney.
And the PNP is questioning her return as a JLP candidate when her Integrity Commission matter is still ongoing.
How could she be returning without the resolution of the matter, so she could still be charged for the matter?
Everald Warmington is calling for a raft of changes to the country's electoral laws.
In news from the rest of the world, UN General Assembly condemns the U.S. economic embargo of Cuba for a 32nd year.
At least 95 killed in flash floods in Spain.
In headline sports, Jamaica Scorpions off to losing start in regional Super 50 cricket campaign.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, Faval Williams has made history as the country's first woman finance minister. Senator Dana Morris Dixon is now the Minister of Education, Skills, Youth and Information. Economist Dr. Adrian Stokes and public commentator Jermaine Barrett will react. In public opinion at 6:26, we'll ask, what's your reaction to the new appointments of Faval Williams and Dana Morris Dixon? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio. You can also message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693 or leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the JLP has decided to reinstate Marissa Dalrymple-Philibert as its candidate to contest South Trelawney in the upcoming by-elections. We'll get reactions.
At 7, according to the 2024 Multidimensional Poverty Index, an estimated 40% of Jamaicans who are considered poor are children under 18. Chief statistician at the United Nations Development Program, Yan Chun Zhang, will join us.
And at 8, it's Boya Things After Dark with Kareem Boyating's Weathers.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app. Available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, it's Wednesday, October 30, 2024.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. 2 players in the country's financial and economic sector are welcoming Faval Williams' appointment as the new Minister of Finance and the Public Service. Prime Minister Andrew Holness tipped Williams to succeed Dr. Nigel Clark in the powerful portfolio during a media briefing Wednesday morning. She's the first woman to hold the post. Mahira Stewart reports.
Financial commentators had speculated that Faval Williams was a strong prospect to replace Dr. Clark in managing the country's financial affairs. After weeks of speculation, Prime Minister Andrew Holness gave her the nod. Chartered accountant Dennis Chung says the appointment was not a surprise.
I think that Faval was a logical person put there. Obviously, he has made sure that the more technical support is there, although Faval on her own, given her background, I think she could stand up as finance minister. So I'm not surprised about it. I expect that she's going to continue the job.
Mrs. Williams is a chartered financial analyst. She holds an advanced degree in finance from the prestigious Wharton School of Business in the United States. She also has a degree in economics from Harvard University. Economist Keenan Faulkner says he does not expect a change in financial policy during Mrs. Williams' tenure.
Minister Williams' appointment is appropriate. I think she was the best choice from day one, and I expect her main priority right now to be the formulation of the next budget, because the budget cycle would have started last month in September thereabout. So that will occupy most of her time for the next several months. The policy priorities that will be pursued, I think, will be largely along the same lines as Dr. Clark, emphasizing policy sustainability, stability, increasing buffers and reducing vulnerability.
There were concerns that Mrs. Williams may not be the best communicator to inspire confidence in financial markets. Dennis Chung does not share those concerns.
But obviously, as everybody knows, she does not speak like the men do, so she's not a forceful speaker, but she's a gentle giant, And I think Faval has the characteristics, the qualifications, and the experience to do the job as finance minister. So I'm looking for good things from her.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, while welcoming Mrs. Williams' appointment, junior opposition spokesman on finance Cleveland Tomlinson says economic growth must be her number one priority.
Because if you recognize the economy as projected by the Planning Institute of Jamaica is estimated to have grown by 0.8% for the first half of this year. And that's prior to the arrival of Hurricane Beryl. And also includes, ramifications from the adverse U.S. travel advisory. But the point is, the economy has been stuck in a state of low growth, and that has to be priority number one for the minister.
Mr. Tomlinson says both parties can be proud of the work done so far to stabilize the economy.
Over the last decade, the country has done very well in terms of stabilizing the economy and reshaping the macro-fiscal position of the country. And that is not the work of a single administration. That is bipartisan work. The heavy lifting, the massive work to get us where we are today started under Dr. Peter Phillips under the last PMP administration. And it was continued under the Holness administration. But now we need to focus on growth, high and sustained growth.
Cleveland Tomlinson, junior opposition spokesman on finance. He was speaking with Nationwide News on Wednesday.
Meanwhile, Mrs. Williams makes history as the first woman to be appointed Minister of Finance. But who is she? Norgay Banton reports on the political career of Jamaica's new finance minister.
A seasoned politician with an extensive background in finance and public service, Faval Williams has held several senior cabinet posts. She served as Minister of Science, Energy and Technology, Minister of Education, Information and Youth, Minister without portfolio in the Finance Ministry, and State Minister in the same ministry. She has also served as a member of the Economic Advisory Council for the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, in 2014. Williams was first elected as Member of Parliament in the 2016 general election when she polled 7,143 votes to become the first female Member of Parliament for East St. Andrew. In the September 3, 2020 general elections, Williams was re-elected to the House of Representatives, besting her previous margin of victory. No stranger to the Finance Ministry, on March 7, 2016, Faval Williams was appointed as State Minister to work alongside Audley Shaw and Rudyard Spencer. Her portfolio responsibilities included, but were not limited to, fiscal policy. Williams was then promoted to Minister without portfolio on March 23, 2018 by Prime Minister Andrew Holness in a cabinet reshuffle to serve under Dr. Nigel Clark. Faval Williams grew up in Tide Dixon, St. Catherine, and is the seventh of 9 children of her parents, Myrtle Johnston and James Johnston. She attended Ferncourt High School. Shortly after leaving high school, Faval Williams landed a job at the Bank of Nova Scotia in Kingston, where she worked as a teller for 3 years before she left to pursue studies in the United States of America. She holds a bachelor's in economics from Harvard University. Williams's latest appointment builds on her long-standing career in finance. She's a chartered financial analyst with a master's in business administration from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. Her concentration was in finance. Before entering politics, Williams gained industry experience in the United States, working as an information systems analyst at noted investment firm Morgan Stanley and as a valuation analyst in commercial real estate in Chicago. Norgay Banton for Nationwide News.
Political commentators are divided in their views on the JLP's decision to reinstate Marissa Dalrymple Philibert as its candidate to contest the South Trelawney constituency in the upcoming by-elections. The by-election is set for November 22. More in this report from Shalois Michael.
Marissa Dalrymple Philibert resigned as Member of Parliament for South Trelawney last September. Her resignation followed a report from the Integrity Commission that recommended that charges be laid against her for making false declarations about her ownership of a motor vehicle. That matter is still before the courts. But speaking during Wednesday's post-cabinet media briefing, Prime Minister and the JLP leader Andrew Holness says the decision to reinstate Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert was due to popular demand from the constituents. But that decision has been met with mixed reactions. Former parliamentarian and political commentator Lloyd B. Smith described the move as premature.
I feel a bit queasy about that. I don't know from a moral perspective if this is something that ought to have been done at this time, given what has surrounded her in terms of the court matter and the Integrity Commission and so on. To me, it is somewhat premature to be bringing her back at this stage.
The PNP has selected a popular funeral home director and former independent councillor for the Lormers Division, Paul Patmore, as its candidate in South Trelawney. Mr. Smith says given the possible strong challenge that Patmore will bring, the JLP's decision may have just been a mere strategic move to retain the seat.
I gather that there's a very strong challenge likely to come from the PNP candidate and Mr. Patmore, and so perhaps the plan here is to ensure that the seat remains with the JLP, and what better person to use than Mama D, who still holds sway in the constituency.
That view was also shared with fellow political commentator Dr. Nadine Spence. But she notes that it's not surprising that Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert has returned despite her ongoing IC matter.
On the matter of the outstanding issues she has with the Integrity Commission, I think we know what it is about. We saw the nature of the offense, and she offered her apology in the Parliament and she stepped down at the time. And I think we all recognize that there didn't seem to be any malice behind the action that led to the Integrity Commission citing her. It seems to me that it would have been natural for her to go back. The opposition perhaps anticipating that they could win that seat as well. And so I think it follows that the ruling party would want to have her back in the seat to ensure that at the next elections they are guaranteed to take that constituency home.
Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, the opposition People's National Party, the PNP, says it will only contest the two divisional by-elections set for November 22. The PNP General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell, told our news centre that given that the JLP is nearing the end of its term, it would have been better to spend and call the general elections.
We are in the final year of the life of this government. We've already concluded 2 months out of that final year. You do need at least 21 days between announcement and election day. So you're maximum 9 months away from an election. We think that given that, we should call the general election if we need to fill vacancies within the parliament. I don't know if it is the best spend of the government's resources at this time to be calling a by-election when the parliamentary elections are due less than a year. In relation to the local government elections, the divisional by-elections, we will be contesting both Morant Bay and Anion Town because the general local government election is not due again until 2028.
Dr. Campbell also questioned the JLP's decision to reinstate Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert as its candidate of choice for South Trelawney. He says the matter concerning her financial He says the matter of the Integrity Commission remains before the court.
I heard the Prime Minister saying that Mrs. Dalrymple Filbert resigned because it was the honorable thing to do. The matter has not been resolved. The court will hear again and determine if they go forward with the case. So I can't understand if she stepped down on a principal point, how could she be returning without the resolution of the matter when she could still be charged for the matter? And coupled with the fact that we're in the final year, it seems like a waste of the taxpayers' money for a parliamentarian to step down. There's no resolution to the matter that caused them to step down, for them to return at a later date and for the country to spend $30 million to have a by-election.
Dr. Dayton Campbell, the General Secretary of the PNP. You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is...
It's 15 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial is the expert in pest control, air purification and hygiene services. Call today 876-926-4236.
The temperature by Rentokil is
29 degrees Celsius in Kingston and out west in Montego Bay.
You ever hear Earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, Earthquake, I come in Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are in the exit. Stairs might block up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Drop, cover, hold on.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
Continuing the news, Member of Parliament for South West St. Catherine, the JLP's Everald Warmington, has called for several changes to the country's electoral laws. This includes easing the restrictions on how voters may cast their ballot. He used a private member's motion to propose amendments to the Representation of the People's Act in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. Siobhan Campbell has that story.
Outside of the Constitution, the Representation of the People's Act, ROPA, is the only document that speaks to provisions for the election of members of the House of Representatives and for the franchise for such elections. It also regulates the registration of electors for the House of Representatives and the conduct of elections. Speaking in the lower house on Tuesday, Mr. Warmington called on ballot casting to be eased, allowing for any mark other than an X to be done by any writing implement outside of a pencil.
And whereas there are other implements other than a blacklead pencil that can also effect such mark for the candidate of one's choice. And whereas there are other marks other than a cross that an elector may make in the space containing the name of the candidate of one's choice. Be it resolved that its Honourable House take the necessary action to have the appropriate amendment done to Section 35, subsection 3 of the Representation of the People Act to provide that any implement that an elector finds appropriate or convenient to use to mark the required mark shall be lawful. And be it further resolved that further amendments be made to the said Section 35, subsection 3 of the Representation of People Act to make any mark on the ballot by an elector in the space containing the name of the candidate of his choice or the intent of the elector can be discerned shall be valid and not limited to a cross.
He called for ballots not to be rejected by a presiding officer merely for having its counterfoil in place. Mr. Warmington also called on the special right for teachers to actively be involved in political activities and stand for election to the House of Representatives to either be removed or extended to all public servants.
There are special provisions provided to teachers to be actively involved in political activities. And whereas these provisions allow teachers to participate in national election as candidates, and where these provisions are not extended to other government-employed workers, be it resolved that the necessary amendment be done to the laws to provide that all other government-employed workers enjoy the same privilege extended to teachers to contest national election, or in the alternative, the teachers be treated as all other government-employed workers as it relates to contesting national elections.
The Southwest St. Catherine MP invoked Section 23 of the Standing Orders, calling for the motions to be debated no later than 21 days from their tabling.
Mr. Speaker, I want to ask that Section 23 of the subsection 2 of the Standing Order be observed as it relates to these private members' motion I move today. I will insist, going on, that Section 23, subsection 2 be applied.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute. The Associated Press is reporting that the UN General Assembly has voted overwhelmingly to condemn the U.S. continued economic embargo on Cuba for a 32nd year. Wednesday's vote in the 193-member world body was 187 to 2, with only the United States and Israel against the resolution. There was one abstention. It tied the record for support for the Caribbean nation first reached in 2019 and again last year. General Assembly resolutions are not legally binding, but they reflect world opinion, and the vote has given Cuba an annual stage to demonstrate that the U.S. stands apart in its decades-old efforts to isolate the Caribbean nation.
Flash flooding has killed at least 95 people in southern Spain, where rescue teams are working to find those feared missing. Some 92 of those deaths were recorded in Valencia alone. One of those dead includes a 71-year-old British man who died hours after being rescued from flooding. Earlier, Spain's King Philippe VI warned there had been enormous destruction to infrastructure, and as a result, some communities were harder to access. Footage uploaded to social media overnight showed floodwaters causing chaos in some areas, dragging cars through streets and leaving some people clinging to trees. Local authorities are issuing warnings about false information circulating online, including whether Valencia's tap water is safe to drink.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour. No surprise.
That's how players in the financial sector are reacting to Faval Williams' appointment as Minister of Finance and the Public Service.
Political commentators divided over the JLP's decision to rerun Marissa Dalrymple Philibert in South Trelawney.
And the PNP is questioning her return as a JLP candidate when her Integrity Commission matter is still ongoing.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robeanne Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Deposit we have insurance. It's an account that come with assurance. Let me teach you why it's important to have deposit insurance. Just in case your bank crash dead, no need to put your hands by your head. Up to 1.2 million you get for all accounts that's affected. Yeah, one room you can start it, or throw a house party. Pay your mortgage with ease. JDIC is a smart win. Deposits we bring safety. JDIC them protect me. Bank and billing society protected. The flow you must get with. Protect your savings smart. We urging you to call me. Guarantee you need us. We take banking serious.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
Drive Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 4.99% interest rate. Yes! Shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 4.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 4.99%. Conditions apply.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The Jamaica Scorpions made a losing start to their campaign in this season's regional Super 50 competition, going down by 24 runs to the Barbados Pride under the Duckworth-Lewis method at the Brian Lara Stadium this afternoon. The Scorpions were asked to get 223 of 35 overs following a lengthy rain delay, but fell 24 runs short after being dismissed for 199. Odin Smith was the last man out for 45. He got good support from Jermaine Blackwood 40 and Captain John Campbell 26. Jomel Warrican ended with 4 for 25, Dominic Drakes 3 for 34, and Kimar Smith 2 for 48. Earlier, the Pride centre-back made 260 for 8 in their 50 overs. Lenika Boucher led the batting with 73 and Zachary McCaskey 63. They shared in a second wicket stand of 134. Carl Mayers 41 and Raymond Reefer 26 also weighed in with crucial contributions against Marquino Minley 3 for 43. Brad Barnes and Javoy Royal weighed in with 2 wickets apiece. Campbell says the Scorpions didn't bat well through the power play.
I just think the power play when we started to bat, I think we lose too many wickets in the power play, and that set us back. We didn't really get any momentum in the middle.
And he also commends his bowlers for getting the team back into the game after the Pride took control through McCaskey and Boucher.
Having them gotten after that start, I think we did really well to restrict them to a chaseable total. So I must commend the bowlers and the effort.
That's John Campbell, captain of the Jamaica Scorpions, who will next be in action on Friday against defending champions the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force at the Brian Lara Stadium. And at the Queen's Park Oval, the Leeward Islands Hurricanes, they crushed the Windward West Indies Academy by 142 runs. The West Indies player Justin Greaves slammed the century 111 as the Hurricanes made 236 for 7 against Jedi Blades 3 for 49 and Joshua Bishop 2 for 31. The Academy boys were then skittled out for 94 in 27 overs and 5 balls. Neymar Bolden, 30 top scored as Daniel Doran picked up 3 for 34 and Rakeem Cornwall 3 for 22. Dunby Holden defeated Mount Pleasant Academy 3-2 this afternoon in their rescheduled Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League game at Royal Lakes to move off the foot of the table. Dunby Holden, who started the day with 3 points, are now up to 11th in the standings for this their second victory of the campaign, while Mount Pleasant remain 4th on 12 points. There's another rescheduled game on for tomorrow. Arnett Gardens, who are in 6th place, will host 10th place Chapelton Maroons at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex, and that's set to start at 6 o'clock. National champions Cavalier will look to book a place in their second straight Caribbean Football Union Club Championship final tonight when they face the undefeated Mocha FC of the Dominican Republic in the second leg of their semi-final at the National Stadium, and it's set to kick off at 7 o'clock. The teams played out a goalless draw in the first leg in the Dumrip last week, with a winner tonight on aggregate going on to the final. 3 teams today booked their spots in the quarterfinals of the Issa da Costa Cup football competition. Former many-time champions Monroe secured their spot from Zone 2 after beating defending champions Clarendon College 2-1 in Malvern to move to 6 points as they remain at the top of the table. In the same group, Frome beat Cornwall College 1-0 at Jarrett Park. They are now just a point from joining Monroe in the quarterfinals. In Zone 4, McGrath beat Manchester High 1-0 to secure their place, and as a result, they took Central High School with them to the last 8. Title favourites Glenmuir moved to the verge of a place in the quarterfinals after a clinical 3-0 win over Ochereus in Maypen. The final of the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup, the 18th edition of the Confederation's flagship men's national team competition, has been awarded to the NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. In addition to hosting numerous Gold Cups, the FIFA World Cup in 2026 host venue is home to the NFL's Houston Texans and has hosted some of the world's most important sporting and entertainment events. These include 2 Super Bowls, a college football playoff, national championship, Championship and WrestleMania. This will mark the first time that a Gold Cup final will be played in the state of Texas. NRG Stadium will also host the Gold Cup for a tournament record 8th time. CONCACAF President and FIFA Vice President Victor Montalliani said, quote, Houston's NRG Stadium is a world-class venue and we know it will deliver a tremendous Gold Cup final next summer, end of quote. Sports and entertainment make Houston and NRG Stadium the preeminent destination for this highly anticipated matchup. We're going to leave it there for sport, but we're going to be back with you at 6:05 with loads more.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you. The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:30.
I don't have no time for whole heap of paperwork. That's why I downloaded and signed up for my OneJN Passport app. Get it all in one go. Download and sign up now. The temperature by the OneJN Passport app is
29 degrees Celsius in both Kingston and Montego Bay.
Attention motorists. It's time to switch to the T-Tag on Highway 2000 East-West. Vehicles using the automated T-Tag lane are processed in seconds, so you can pass through the toll plazas far quicker. The T-Tag makes it quicker, more cost-efficient, and safer for our customers. So switch to the T-Tag today and experience the convenience. The discount on T-Tag packages has been extended. Get yours for only $1,500, including a $500 toll credit from now until October 31st.
We're committed to reducing the impact of disasters occurring in Jamaica. Hurricanes can happen, so be prepared.
Jamaica, your government has delivered. 100 brand new CNG buses are now rolling out across the island. Enjoy lower bus fares, short wait times, and air-conditioned comfort on every ride. Enjoy a smoother commute and more savings every day. It's all part of our commitment to lower the cost of living and improve your daily commute.
Brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Say goodbye to stuffy air and hello to clean air. Call the air conditioning experts, Geddes Refrigeration Limited, for all your indoor air quality needs. Their duct cleaning services will leave your home or office feeling fresh and healthy. Call them at 876-923-652123 or email grljasocialmedia@gmail.com. Located at 226 Spanish Town Road, Kingston 11. Breathe easy with Geddes Refrigeration Limited.
Me grew up and see my granny save her money under her mattress. But at an old time something. That's where I save my money in the bank. And because I want to buy a little house, I also save in a building society. We have to be smart with how we save our money.
So what if the bank crash?
Well, that's where JDIC comes in. Make I tell you something. With the JDIC deposit insurance scheme, once you save your money in a commercial bank, merchant bank, or building society, your deposit is covered up to a maximum of $1.2 million per depositor per financial institution if the institution fails. All the information that you need is available at jdic.org, and you can follow their social media platform for more information.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
Imagine opening a bank account without ever leaving your home. Well, at CIBC Caribbean, we've changed the game. Open a new CIBC savings or checking account completely online using your computer or phone, anywhere, anytime. No need to visit the bank, no waiting in line. Just apply, verify, and sign your documents, all online. It's secure, seamless, and 100% digital. Open your new CIBC account by applying online today.
So what you get?
The new Popeye's blackened chicken sandwich, my girl. The flavor just hits different.
Blackened like it burn up?
Nah, man. Blackened because of the color of the Louisiana herbs and spices. Blackened like the flavor buck. No breading and the seasoning soaked deep in the chicken. But get yours and try it, cause me nah share yours. Get the new Popeye's blackened chicken sandwich. Limited time only.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Taboo topics.
Bulletins after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Boyatings After Dark.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Drive Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 4.99% interest rate. Yes! Shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 4.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 4.99%. Conditions apply.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5 this Wednesday afternoon. It's time for the cover story. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
There's a new Minister of Finance and the Public Service. It's Faval Williams, and she takes over from Dr. Nigel Clark, who demitted office to take up the role of Deputy Managing Director at the International Monetary Fund. Now, Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement at the post-cabinet media briefing at Jamaica House earlier today.
I'm pleased to announce the following. The Honourable Faval Williams, MP, will assume duties as Minister of Finance and the Public Service.
That's Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Minister Williams is the first female to hold the portfolio. She was previously a minister without portfolio in the ministry in the first few years of Dr. Clark's leadership. Minister Williams is a chartered financial analyst by profession. She also holds an MBA with concentration in finance from the Wharton Business School and a BA in economics from Harvard University.
She will be replaced at Education by Senator Dana Morris Dixon, who is also taking with her the portfolios of skills, digital transformation, and information. Prime Minister Holness also announced on Wednesday that Matthew Samuda will resume his duties as Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Of course, he'll be focused on water, and he previously held that post before resigning to pave the way for his run as Member of Parliament for North East St. Anne in the September 30 by-election. He won that race, amassing some 95% of the votes.
Holness says the appointments are meant to maintain stability while adapting to change.
These appointments are designed to maintain stability and minimize disruption in the functioning of the government, but at the same time pivot towards a growth-oriented economic policy, as well as to make a priority and focus of human capital development.
Well, to analyze these changes in the cabinet, we have with us for reactions economist Dr. Adrian Stokes and public commentator and founder and executive director of Jamaican Association for Debating and Empowerment, Jermaine Barrett. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Hi,
gentlemen.
good afternoon.
Good afternoon to your listeners.
So, starting with you, Adrian Stokes, the economist, your reaction to Faval Williams taking up that top job?
Excellent choice. Has a very strong CV for the role. She has what I would call the functional or the technical skills, coupled with the right behavioral attributes to do well in the role. She's well qualified from my perspective, and I do expect her to perform well in the role.
And when you say behavioral attributes, what do you mean?
So there are certain key competencies that are required in senior leadership roles in ministerial positions. For example, an ability to effectively lead a team, to inspire a team, and importantly, to get things done. It's very, very important to get things done. And the Ministry of Finance is one of those ministries where your ability to execute, to get things done, is very, very important. And Minister Williams is very good at getting things done. And I know her well, having worked with her at education. We were currently working together on implementing the recommendation coming out of the Patterson report. And I have seen her executing, getting things done, working with the senior leadership team at the Ministry of Education. I'm also familiar with her work in the private sector and her executive leadership there, also in getting key things done. So behavioral attributes for these roles, very, very important. And I said the key competency is an ability to execute, and that's very important. And execution is very difficult, something that we oftentimes don't see in our talk about in government circles. And so I'm very, very happy that the Prime Minister chose her to be the next finance minister.
And Jermaine Barrett, we're speaking about this matter of the proper behavioral competencies. Over the years, the finance minister has not only just been somebody who's very technical, but they've also been one of those people alongside the prime minister who's been very good at selling the message and the programs of the government. Do you think Faval Williams will be able to rise to that ability following in the footsteps of someone like Dr. Clark or Deshaw and so on?
Well, first of all, gentlemen and listeners, I think that Faval has really now come home. Clearly, her pedigree in finance is strong, and I agree with Dr. Stokes. She's very much qualified. In terms of where we are in the politics, I think that one has to take cognizance of the fact that we're nearing an election. The campaign season, the hype and the sort of sentiment surrounding politics is going to intensify. And certainly as we move towards now the next budget presentation, the election budget, assuming the Prime Minister doesn't call it before March, you're going to get a strong reliance on everybody in the cabinet, to include the finance minister, to really communicate clearly and with a degree of charisma and panache that I think when you compare Faval Williams to the former finance minister, Dr. Clark, you're going to get not as much excitement. You know, one can recall the red card and the glass house and the bricks and all of these kinds of things that he would have used to really communicate important technical information to the people of Jamaica in a way that people understand. I think Faval Williams will necessarily communicate information that is clear. She is solid in terms of her understanding of finance and the portfolio that she holds, broadly speaking. But I don't think you're going to get as much of the what I call the theatrics and the charisma coming out that really will resonate with the people. I think other members of the cabinet will have to do a lot of that kind of heavy lifting. I think the Prime Minister is really coming into his own, and I think I don't think as a sort of a holistic calculation as the government's position in communicating, I don't think she represents a deficit.
And let me take you back to that issue of charisma and theatrics. Because I think sometimes we forget that when Dr. Clark was appointed, there were similar conversations, and certainly he put those doubters to shame. But there's also the view that perhaps we need less of that kind of posturing in the politics. And what we need is the kind of, my word now, sobriety that a Faval Williams would bring to this role. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think you have to appreciate your audience, and it's one thing to communicate with the sobriety and the calmness that, you know, people like you and I appreciate. but I would contend that most Jamaicans are drawn to the excitement.
Jermaine? No, we lost Jermaine. Dr. Stokes?
Yes.
I'd be very interested to hear your view on that.
So she doesn't strike me as being very animated. What she is she's very intelligent and highly adaptable, which means that to be effective in her role, I am confident that she will adopt a posture for what she does to be effective, be it communicating or otherwise. But I'm also in agreement with your general point regarding the things that we value or the things that we should value actually in terms of her competency in managing financial affairs and to place greater weight on that as opposed to the theatrics without substance. We have seen that in the past, and that really hasn't served us well. So, and I know there is a role in the politics for animation and so on. I'm not a massive fan of it, but, there are persons who are so inclined.
Yeah, we're up on the break. We're talking to economist Dr. Adrian Stokes and public commentator Jermaine Barrett. After the break, Jermaine Barrett, he's back with us, listeners. I'll let you complete your point.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
14 minutes now to 6.
Upgrade your kitchen and bathroom to the next level with Unique Living. They're the ultimate destination for all your kitchen and bathroom needs, from luxurious shower systems to exquisite faucets, vanities, sinks, toilets, closets, and more. They have it all. Visit shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10, or call them at 876-755-3661. Elevate your space with Unique Living, where quality meets expectations.
Jamaica live good, yeah. I make we enjoy life, while we feel safe at night.
With Jamaica Automobile Association, membership is a win-win. Enter the JAA Fuel Up promotion and you could win the grand prize of JAA Gold membership for 1 year, plus fuel valued at $240,000. Just purchase, renew or upgrade your JAA membership or use your individual JAA advance card to buy at least $10,000 of fuel a month. So, fuel up! There's also monthly prices of $20,000 in fuel. Enter now. JAA Fuel Up promotion ends December 13, 2024. Conditions apply.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. We're discussing the historic appointment of Faval Williams as the country's finance minister. She's the first woman to hold the role. We're getting reactions from economist Dr. Adrian Stokes and public commentator Jermaine Barrett. Just before the break, Jermaine, you were completing an answer before we lost you on the matter of theatrics versus substance.
Thank you very much. To be persuasive, it necessitates a strong capacity in two domains. It's about the content of your presentation and also the style. Now, for people who are drawn like we are to, issues of government and politics at large, we will tune in and we will watch long budget presentation and long speeches. Not so much focused on the style, but the average Jamaican, and this is not something that's unique to Jamaica. It's a characteristic of populations across the world. If you don't have the charisma to really deliver the message, then you lose your audience. No, you made an important point, Ricardo, that Dr. Nigel Clark, when he joined the politics as finance minister, he was not the most charismatic, yes, but he grew into it. I think Faval Williams can grow to become that kind of personality. It's not going to happen within the next few months. The elections are due the next few months. And so, again, I want to underscore the point that it's not a massive deficit. I don't want for us to take this as being a condemnation of her. I think she's competent in every other respect, and ultimately there are other persons within the government apparatus that will also aid in transmitting the message to the people.
Mm-hmm. And let me bring you back in there, Adrian Stokes. In terms of the priorities that Faval Williams needs to now tackle, I mean, there are many to deal with heading into next year. There's the matter of upcoming salary negotiations, the completion of matters such as performance-based incentives in the public sector. There's the budget presentation to come up, as well as election concerns. What should be Mrs. Williams' priority heading into the portfolio?
Right. So I think there are a number of them. The first is to do no harm to the fiscal account, which means to meet the targets established for the current year. Tax revenues are slowing, and public sector wages are now very high. They take up a lot of the budget. So that will actually be a very challenging task for her. The next priority that she has is to agree with the trade unions a sustainable public sector wage structure that aligns compensation with performance. As I indicated before, wages are now running well over 12% of GDP, very high. They're taking up over 55% of every tax dollar that we collect. So we have given, as a country, a massive increase in wages, but what we haven't seen so far is the accountability component of the wage discussion. So she will have to drive that. She will have to ensure that there is more balance between the actual wages and what the Jamaican people are receiving from the public sector. The other thing that she will have to do is that, given the better wages that are being paid in the public sector, through the Ministry of Finance and Public Service, she will have to drive the overall improvement in capacity. In other words, we have great people in the public sector, but we need more. We need a lot more. So use the better salaries to attract top talent, because we need to improve the effectiveness of government. And finally, going into the new budget, and as the Prime Minister indicated this afternoon or this morning, the government will have to pivot to a stance that will see the economy growing much faster than it is right now. So policies are going to be very important, right? And she will have to look at ways to drive growth without increasing the problems in the fiscal. So those are, I would say, are some immediate things that she will have to tackle.
Yeah, and those are big ticket items. I want to zoning Jermaine on the matter of accountability in the public sector, because certainly it's a politically fraught issue. Yeah, we have had conversations about it for quite some time. Dr. Stokes is quite correct. Significant increases in salary, and one would expect, I certainly believe the Jamaican people expect, that there will be a question of accountability and whether we're getting value for that $200 billion. But governments have been shy. They've been shy about taking that component on. And I wondered whether you think that's something we will see in the short term now, because as you said, the election is coming, or you think that's something Minister Williams perhaps will defer?
That is, in fact, a cat that desperately needs to be bailed. The matter of productivity. Now that we are we've tacked on $200 billion additionally to the wage bill. You don't just give money without expecting greater levels of productivity. We see the economy stalling now. There are whisperings that we might be heading towards a recession. That is concerning. How do we fix that? I do know that Minister Faval Williams is not renowned for doing radical things, and that is sometimes good because you don't want a radical person coming in to upend the stability that has been created. But what we do need now are innovative thinkers that really can apply strategies that are tested, well thought out, and applied strategically and appropriately. And I think that is the major challenge for her. She, as you will appreciate, is the second highest minister in terms of rank, second only to the prime minister within the cabinet. And so she now sits in a pivotal position where she can commandeer, if you will, or sort of provide guidance and oversight towards the government to push the bureaucracy in a direction for growth and development. We've achieved major macroeconomic successes. It is now time for us to achieve those successes that trickle down into people's pockets. And the final point I'll make is that will she make those radical shifts to propel productivity, especially if it is that it's going to be a little uncomfortable for people who are comfortably within their public sector jobs? I don't see that happening because, again, we're up on an election and she's not going to be doing anything that is overly controversial or push the government, against or put the government on the back foot. So that won't happen. It will be after the election. If she retains the position of finance minister, then we are going to be seeing some risks taken to push things forward.
And Dr. Adrian Stokes, the path not travelled, it seemed that it had come down to an A and B option. The Prime Minister retains the finance portfolio and probably sheds the MGEC portfolio, or Faval Williams taking it up. What do you think essentially came down to the decision that he said, all right, give finance ministry to Faval Williams, I will maintain economic growth and job creation?
I think it's an issue of qualifications and competency. And as I said at the start of this discussion, that Faval has the technical skills as well as the behavioral attributes to do the job. She is, as far as I know, and I look at the current members of the government, she's best placed by far to lead the finance ministry. She's no stranger to the ministry. She is well qualified in terms of academic credentials. She has had a long run in government. She has the private sector background, and she really understands policy. I would say she's a policy wonk. I can speak so confidently because I've worked closely with her over the last year or so in education, and I've seen it firsthand. So she's best placed to lead the finance ministry without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, may I just proffer a response to that question? Yes?
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yes, we also have to look at the move of Faval Williams to finance minister within a broader array of moves that have been made and announced today. Dr. Dana Dixon Morris, or is Morris Dixon?
Morris Dixon.
Morris Dixon has been placed within education, and I think that also I've long maintained that as I listen to post-cabinet briefings and just hear her communicate from a position of credibility and trust, and the fact that people, even on the opposition side, have generally not come hard at her the way they came at her predecessor. You get the sense that now here is somebody also placed in education to do very, very important work, and I think that's a part of the overarching strategic moves that were announced today that I would wish to place on record my own commendation, because I think these moves are actually quite good.
We'll see. Jermaine Barrett, Adrian Stokes, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right, take care. Sure.
All right. And our YouTubers are weighing in, Siobhan, on the appointments. Feline Williams says, we're so used to people shouting out lies and nonsense that we can't accept someone's quiet demeanor. Carlene Smith says, I couldn't care less if Faval shouts or whispers. I care about the numbers and the policies. Perceptions of her is the concern of the JLP. Jan says, Faval is not an island. She has a team, and there's a financial policy of the government. Yeah. So it seems certainly the YouTubers are suggesting, and or commentators just now that, yeah, she's the right person for the job and we shouldn't get caught up in the idea.
There's this one that I find most intriguing. Smart Thinker says Minister Williams is an excellent leader, but she's going to have to be a strong deal with the technocrats and those who do very little work. But I mean, coming from the education ministry, I think she's quite versed in dealing with technocrats who like to push back against the leaderships in the ministries.
You're saying that education is one of the most challenging.
No such thing.
Yeah. Okay. No. But you're right. It is. Well, I'll say it. You haven't said it, but I'll say it. It is. It is, and she did survive it. And she managed to get the transformation process, on the road and was executing it. So perhaps we are underestimating Faval Williams. And certainly a positive that a woman, I think, now occupies the post.
I believe she was also the first minister without portfolio in finance who was also a woman.
Yes, I tried. There was a her name escapes me now, under the Pattison government. No, that's not Zara. Oh my lord, her name escapes me. But there was a woman. I think she was a state minister. I can't recall her name now. Fair-skinned. I can't remember her name, but I think she was state minister. So yes, Faval, would have shattered the glass ceiling not once, but twice. Congratulations, and of course the country expects that they'll hit the ground running. Yeah, that's all the time we have for the cover story. The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock. Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Two players in the country's financial and economic sector are welcoming Faval Williams' appointment as the new Minister of Finance and the Public Service. Chartered accountant Dennis Chung says the appointment was not a surprise.
I think that Faval was a logical person put there. Obviously, he has made sure that the more technical support is there, although Faval on her own, given her background, I think she could stand up as finance minister. So I'm not surprised about it. I expect that she's going to continue the job.
Dennis Chung, chartered accountant, and economist Keenan Faulkner says he does not expect a change in financial policy during Mrs. Williams' tenure.
Minister Williams' appointment is appropriate. I think she was the best choice from day one, and I expect her main priority right now to be the formulation of the next budget, because the budget cycle would have started last month in September thereabout. So that will occupy most of our time for the next several months. The policy priorities that will be pursued, I think, will be largely along the same lines as Dr. Clark, emphasizing policy sustainability, stability, increasing buffers and reducing vulnerability.
Keenan Faulkner, economist. Political commentators are divided in their views on the JLP's decision to reinstate Marissa Dalrymple Philibert as its candidate to contest South Trelawney in the upcoming by-elections. Former parliamentarian and political commentator Lloyd B. Smith described the move as premature.
I feel a bit queasy about that. I don't know from a moral perspective if this is something that ought to have been done at this time, given what has surrounded her in terms of the court matter and the Integrity Commission and so on. To me, it is somewhat premature to be bringing her back at this stage.
Lloyd B. Smith, political commentator. Meanwhile, Dr. Nadine Spence says it's not surprising that Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert has returned despite her ongoing IC matter.
On the matter of the outstanding issues she has with the Integrity Commission, I think we know what it is about. We saw the nature of the offense, and she offered her apology in the Parliament, and she stepped down at the time. And I think we all recognize that there didn't seem to be any malice behind the action that led to the Integrity Commission citing her. It seems to me that it would have been natural for her to go back. The opposition perhaps anticipating that they could win that seat as well. And so I think it follows that the ruling party would want to have her back in the seat to ensure that at the next elections they are guaranteed to take that constituency home.
Dr. Nadine Spence, political commentator. The opposition, People's National Party PNP, says it will only contest the 2 divisional by-elections set for November 22. PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell says given that the JLP is nearing the end of its term, it would be a better spend to call the general elections.
We are in the final year of the life of this government. We've already concluded 2 months out of that final year. We do need at least 21 days between announcement and election day. So you're maximum 9 months away from an election. We think that given that, we should call the general election if we need to fill vacancies within the parliament. I don't know if it is the best spend of the government's resources at this time to be calling a by-election when the parliamentary elections are due less than a year. In relation to the local government elections, the divisional by-elections, we will be contesting both Morant Bay and Anion Town because the general local government election is not due again until 2028.
Dr. Campbell also questioned the JLP's decision to reinstate Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert as its candidate of choice for South Trelawney.
I heard the Prime Minister saying that Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert resigned because it was the honourable thing to do. The matter has not been resolved. The court will hear again and determine if they go forward with the case. So I can't understand if she stepped down on a principal point, how could she be returning without the resolution of the matter when she could still be charged for the matter? And coupled with the fact that we're in the final year, it seems like a waste of the taxpayers' money for a parliamentarian to step down. There's no resolution to the matter that caused them to step down, for them to return at a later date and for the country to spend $30 million to have a by-election.
Dr. Dayton Campbell, General Secretary of the PNP. Newly minted Member of Parliament Matthew Samuda has been sworn in as Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. The swearing-in ceremony was held on Wednesday morning.
I, Matthew Peter Samuda, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Jamaica, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of Jamaica, and that I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of Jamaica. So help me God.
Matthew Samuda, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Samuda is expected to resume responsibilities for the water portfolio as well as climate change and the environment. The Chase Fund is refuting claims made by opposition spokesperson on health Dr. Alfred Dawes regarding funding for repairs at the Bustamante Hospital for Children. During a media briefing on Monday, Dr. Dawes stated that money from the Chase Fund was available to fix the faulty air conditioning units at the hospital's operating theaters.
As far back as August 26th, the Bustamante Hospital for Children was in emergency mode for all operations because of the same issues with the AC unit. It was not just that the staff knew and hid it. There are letters, there are emails that were sent. The Southeast Regional Health Authority knew of the issues. Attempts were made to move the surgeries to the Kingston Public Hospital. That did not work out. Not all hospital, but that did not work out, surprisingly, because money became an issue. This could have been avoided from even further back because money was raised, including money from the Chase Fund to refurbish the operating theaters at Bustamante.
Dr. Alfred Dawes, opposition spokesperson on health. But in a statement on Wednesday, the Chase Fund says it is in receipt of an application dated May 9, 2024 from the Bustamante Hospital for Children to renovate its operating theatres. It says this application is currently being evaluated for consideration, subject to the availability of the funds. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Sports is next.
Jamaica live good, yeah. I make we enjoy life, while we feel safe at night. Jamaica live good.
Yeah, girl.
Yo, Martina. Beg your money, no? Jano Star, the thing dismal. It's sticky out in the streets, you know.
Hey, money. Well, I take that from you right now. But, Rashi, you know, I have a way we can make some money quick. Like 100 grand, my girl.
100 grand? Quick and fast? Yo! But hold on there. That not sound straight.
What you mean by that not sound straight? A straight business me say. And you know that too. And I work from home, my girl. All you need is a phone. I'm send you to lead them. You just have to call me. Easy 1 2 that.
Well, the maths they not seem so hard at all. I really want to. Alright, me go check my brother and show him the pre. Me call you back later.
Make sure you call me back, you know.
Yeah, girl.
Alright, later.
Yo, sis, what go on?
Good son. Martina show me a pre for make some quick money, you know. All we have to do, I just dial. She will send the leads.
Dial? Sis, you know no sense. Martina Chopper, I sink she go sink you. We not do the right thing. You should report her. No have no conversation with no chopper. Just do the right thing.
She am a friend. Oh, you have to say that. Oh, me for do her that. She check for me.
So if she your friend, a prison what that you know, and you can end up dead and get mixed up with the wrong people them. You need to take care of yourself and do the right thing.
Real talk. Me never did a meds it so, you know. All me I think about is how to make some quick money. Thanks for the guidance. May I do the right thing and load that out.
I bet you look a real work and do the right thing.
A true man. Me could do the right thing and live good.
Jamaica live good, yeah. I make we enjoy life, while we feel safe at night. Jamaica live good. I better you and I.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
The 5% Club is now taking new members. Sounds exclusive? We don't want it to be. You see, it's made up of less than 5% of women who get screened for breast cancer in our country each year. At Sagicor, we've made it our mission to help to change the statistics. In fact, with 5,000 more women getting screened, we can officially become the 6% Club. And we won't stop there. So please get checked. Early detection saves lives. Go to bit.ly/5% Club JA.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The Jamaica Scorpions made a losing start to their campaign in this season's regional Super 50 competition. They went down by 24 runs to the Barbados Pride under the Duckworth-Lewis method at the Brian Lara Stadium. The Scorpions were asked to get 223 of 35 overs following a lengthy rain delay, but they fell 24 runs short after being dismissed for 199. Odin Smith was the last man out for 45. He got good support from Jermaine Blackwood 40 and Captain John Campbell 26. Jamel Warrican ended with 4 for 25, Dominic Drake 3 for 34 and Kemar Smith 2 for 48. Earlier, the Pride centre bat made 222-60 for 8 in their 50 overs. Lenika Boucher led the batting with 73 and Zachary McCaskey 40-63. They shared in a second wicket stand of 134. Kyle Mears 41 and Raymond Reefer 26 also weighed in with crucial contribution against Marquino Minley 3 for 43 and Brad Barnes and Javier Royal 2 wickets apiece. Campbell says the Scorpions didn't bat well through the power play.
I just think the power play when we started to bat, I think we lose too many wickets in the power play and that set us back. We didn't really get any momentum in the middle.
He also commended his bowlers for getting the team back into the game after the Pride took control through McCaskey and Boucher.
Having them gotten after that start, I think we did really well to restrict them to a chaseable total. So I must commend the bowlers and the effort.
John Campbell, captain of the Jamaica Scorpions. The Scorpions will next be in action on Friday. They take on champions, the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force, at the Brian Lara Stadium. Over at the Queen's Park Oval, the Leeward Islands Hurricanes, they crushed the West Indies Academy by 142 runs. West Indies player Justin Greaves slammed their century 111 as the Hurricanes made 236 for 7 against Jedi Blades, 3 for 49, and Joshua Bishop 2 for 31. The Academy boys were then skittled out for 94 in 27 overs and 5 balls. Neymar Bolden, 30 top scored as Daniel Duran picked up 3 for 34 and Rakeem Cornwall 3 for 22. Dunby Holden defeated Mount Pleasant Academy 3-2 this afternoon in the rescheduled Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League game at Royal Lakes to move off the foot of the table. Dunby Holden, who started the day with 3 points and now up to 11th with their second victory of the campaign, while Mount Pleasant remained 4th on 12 points. There's another rescheduled game on for tomorrow. Arnett Gardens, who are in 6th place, hosting 10th place Chapelton Maroons at the Tony Spaulding Sports Complex, and it's set to kick off at 6 o'clock. And national champions Cavalier will look to book a place in their second straight Caribbean Football Union Club Championship final when they face the undefeated Mocha FC of the Dominican Republic in the second leg of their semi-finals at the National Stadium starting at 7 p.m. tonight. Now, the teams played out a goalless draw in the first leg in the Dom Rep last week, with the winner tonight on aggregate going on to the championship decider. 3 teams today booked their spots in the quarterfinals of the Issa da Costa Cup competition. Former many-time champions Monroe, they secured their spot from Zone 2 after beating defending champions Clarendon College 2-1 in Malvern to move to 6 points as they remain at the top of the standings. In the same group, Frome beat Cornwall College 1-0 at Jarrett Park, and they are now just a point away from joining Monroe in the quarterfinals. In Zone 4, McGrath defeated Manchester High School by 1-0 to secure their place, and as a result, they took Central High School with them to the last 8 after Central beat Denby by 1-0. Title favourites Glenmuir, they moved to the verge of a place in the quarterfinals after a clinical 3-0 win over Ocherias High School in Maypen. The final of the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup, the 18th edition of the Confederation's flagship men's national team competition, has been awarded to NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. In addition to hosting numerous Gold Cups, the FIFA World Cup 2026 host venue is home to the NFL's Houston Texans and has hosted some of the world's most important sporting and entertainment events, amongst them 2 Super Bowls, the College Football Playoff National Championship, and WrestleMania. This will mark the first time that a Gold Cup final will be held in the state of Texas. NRG Stadium will also host the Gold Cup for a tournament record 8th time, and the sports and entertainment makes Houston and NRG Stadium the preeminent destination for this highly anticipated championship. President of the Jamaica Football Federation, Michael Ricketts, is singing the praises of national football team head coach Steve McLaren and his technical team. Since replacing Jaime Halgrimson, McLaren has led the team to 2 wins and 2 draws in the CONCACAF Nations League. Ricketts says the spirit of hope surrounding the team reminds him very much of the 1998 World Cup campaign.
I must attribute this to the personality of the coaches, because I think only René Simoes would have brought this level of vibe and commitment and camaraderie for a national setup. He and his assistant, they just simply are amazing people. They know how to relate to players. They know how to get the best out of players. And I think it is going to show on the field of play how improved this team is, simply because of the coaching staff.
JFF President Michael Ricketts. President of the Jamaica Paralympic Association, Chris Samuda, says the city of Valledupar is on track to host a very successful South American Para Games in 2026. Valledupar, located in the department of Cesar in the northeast of Colombia, was officially selected as the host city for the Games, and they were given the right to host it in February last year. Samuda says the infrastructure venues to support the various sports is already in place. According to Samuda, who is also president of the Jamaica Olympic Association, refurbishing for sport venues and retrofitting and in some cases construction of facilities will allow greater accessibility and convenience for wheelchair users.
Most sports will be situated in sporting complexes, which is a plus for the logistic arrangements and cost efficiencies. Happily, the athletes' accommodation is not starting from ground zero, as in the case of other regional and international games, and is physically in place and is satisfactory and will, I have no doubt, comfortably meet requirements. Service providers in relation to ground transportation, meals and hospitality have already been engaged. So now my interest lies in the settling of contracts and the discharge of obligations under those contracts to ensure seamless executions.
The Games is expected to bring together 2,000 athletes from 12 nations. It will feature 12 para-sport, including para-athletics, wheelchair basketball, football for the visually impaired, bocce, powerlifting, and para-badminton. Samuda emphasized that critical to the spirit and success of any Games is the full engagement of the citizens.
It must be an incredible experience for them and value-based. I have therefore made an appeal to the organizers, marketers and promoters to, from now, build out commercial themes and create value-based messages that resonate with the people of the city and its neighbors. It must ultimately be a celebration of the unity and the friendship of sport and the cultural spirit and soul of the city.
And there's also called for a viable business model.
And in that regard, media and broadcast arrangements are critical, and these are being addressed. They are critical not only to the financial success of the Games, but also in messaging the cultural values of the Games, which can be monetized. Medical and anti-doping matters, along with technical and classification requirements, are also being addressed by the Colombian Games Organizing Committee and the Medical and Technical Commissions, as well as the technocrats. And I'm satisfied that systems, manuals, and the functionaries will permit a successful treatment.
That's President of the Jamaica Paralympic Association, Christopher Samuda. That's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:20.
Does your bra ride up your back? Do your shoulders hurt from carrying the weight of your breasts? These are signs of an ill-fitting bra. When was the last time you were fitted by a bra fit specialist? The bra experts at LaBelle Femme will take care of you. Drop into the store at 53 Lady Musgrave Road, Tuesdays to Saturdays from 10 to 5, and you will see the difference. Or call 876-622-6091. Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
When Sagicor Bank thinks of a woman, here's what we see. We see business leaders managing sole trader businesses to large corporations. We see university graduates as our women uplift themselves academically. We see more homeowners, ambitious women working hard to build their own legacy. We see leadership at home, with women proudly providing for and taking care of their families. We see entrepreneurs, Jamaican women playing a leading role in our economic growth. At Sagicor Bank, we see the invaluable contribution of women in the home, communities, businesses, and development of our country. That's why we're in their corner, supporting Jamaica's women as they strive to achieve their dreams.
Looking to add a touch of elegance to your room? The Lighting World by Fosrich is having a massive lighting blowout sale. Get your wall lamps, chandeliers, ceiling lamps, fans, and more at amazingly low prices. Sale begins Sunday, September 29 with up to 50% off selected items. It's the Fosrich Lighting Blowout Sale, September 29. Shop and save only at Fosrich. Open Sundays.
You ever hear Earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, Earthquake, I come in Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, hover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are in the exit. Stairs might broke up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Drop, hover, hold on.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
Improving our relationship with you.
The Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency, PICA, is improving its relationship with you, our valued customer. Our new customer relationship management system will help us to better understand your needs, communicate with you, and address your issues faster. Contact us online and let us help you. The new system is a joint project of PICA and the Transformation Implementation Unit.
Improving our relationship.
Building a better public sector for all.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Mahiri Stewart. A special good evening to our friends on YouTube. We invite you to also weigh in live in the comment section on today's Public Opinion. The new Minister of Finance and the Public Service is Faval Williams. She takes over from Dr. Nigel Clark, who has demitted office to take up a new role as the Deputy Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, IMF. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement at post-cabinet press briefing this morning at Jamaica House.
I'm pleased to announce the following. The Honourable Faval Williams, MP, will assume duties as Minister of Finance and the Public Service.
That's Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Now, Minister Williams is the first female to hold the portfolio. She was previously a minister without portfolio in this ministry in the first few years of Dr. Clark's leadership. Minister Williams is a chartered financial analyst by profession. She holds an MBA with concentration in finance from the Wharton Business School and has a BA in economics from Harvard University. She is also the Member of Parliament for East St. Andrews. So, in today's Public Opinion, we are asking you, the public, what's your reaction to the new appointments of not just Finance Minister Faval Williams, but also Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, who will take over for Minister Williams as she transitions into her new role as Finance Minister. So we are going to take a look at Instagram first, yeah? We're going to take a look at Instagram first, and we got 25 responses. Let's see how many we can go through. Boss Lady 3873 says, excellent appointments. They're more than qualified. I always trust the Prime Minister's judgment. All right, there we go. Kay Gordon says, this was expected. Way to go, Dr. Andrew Holness. Chris Let Go Frozen says, excellent qualified choices. What else we have here? Jamaican Empress 2021 says, we never know how good somebody is until they are placed in the position. I wish them well and time will tell. Lisa Headley says, trouble dede. Mealy Tucker says, excellent. The Prime Minister has good judgment. What else do we have here? Tyrone Lewis also says, excellence. What else do we have here? Natalie Parks says, excellent choice where Faval is concerned. I believe people underestimate this woman because she is so soft-spoken and many don't know or try to know anything about her or her experience. All right. So that's what we have so far on Instagram. Let's take a look at X. What do we have over on X? How many comments do we have on X? If we take a look here, we will see a couple ones. We got a good number of them. Good number. All right. So let's go through them now, right? Starting with... There we go. Andrea. Andrea says, awesome. Minister Faval deserves and is well capable, and Dr. Dana has a task ahead of her, but she has the personality. What else we have here? Rockwan Studios says Auntie Faval is the true definition of action and not a bag of mouth. She comes qualified and I trust her to do an excellent job. Striker 555 says I congratulate both of them appointed to their respective portfolios, especially Faval Williams, who is qualified as the first female finance minister. Dr. Dixon will bring her special expertise as Minister of Education. All right. Time Cow says, never heard of them. Portia Prince says, great choice of excellent candidates. Naaman says, wait and see. What else we have here? Listen Keenly says, good to see a qualified woman in the role of Minister of Finance. Education needs a fresh perspective. Wish both of them well. So that's what we have over on, not Instagram, X. Now we're going to go over to Facebook and then we're going to go over to our YouTubers. Hopefully they are already participating in the live chat. I do see some answers so far. So we're going to get to that real quick. But first, let's check over on Facebook. And on Facebook, we got 30 comments. Maury McCarth says, good choices. Anthony Sheikh says, woman speaker, woman finance minister, and woman education minister. Woman time come now. All right. Maureen Bryan says, I am wishing her all the very best with much success. She has worked in the finance ministry before. That is why people were recommending her for the job. George Elliott says, excellent appointment, and she will have Dr. Nigel Clark's template with which to go forward. What else we have here? Christopher Isaacs says, unquestionably qualified. I, however, am a bit nervous that she lacks the necessary characteristics needed for the position. She's a bit too demure, I think. Okay, Christopher. What else we have here? Okay, here we go. Claire Ramdeen says, absolutely the best choice. All the best, ladies, Jamaicans, wishing you well. And Nikki Becky says, boss moves. Bever Baker says, I have nothing to say at the moment. All right. And last but not least, Bryson Kisoon says, it should be Cliff Hughes. All right, man. So let's take a look at the YouTubers. What are the YouTubers saying? All right. So it's a lot. We're getting a lot. As I look, there's just so many flooding through the chat. I have to pause it just so I can read one. All right. So let's take a look at what we can read here. Denzel M says Dana is a rising star in the JLP. Big ministry in just 1 year. Mikkel says 2 females, that's great. David Nabar says excellent. Kevin Bailey says Mrs. Williams has global street credit in the financial world. Denzel M, I think I read a Denzel M already, so let me keep going then. What else we have here? Woman Foreign Affairs Minister also. Okay, so they're highlighting women that are in the cabinet. Okay. Kevin Bailey says Mrs. Williams is a silent genius in finance and Dr. Morris Dixon will deliver. Stark Girl says woman power, good choice, PM. What else we have here? Excellent appointment. Faval is smart and well prepared for the MOF job. Keep going through. What do I see here? How many of these can I read? Because some of the YouTubers love to stray away from the conversation, you know. But all right. How many more can I read? Do we still have time? Okay. Whodunit says, I was expecting Faval Williams, and he's alluding to something that a lot of people were saying. A lot of people pinned Faval Williams as the best possible choice for the finance ministership. We keep going. Tam says, congrats, First Lady Finance Minister. She just needs to show that in finance it is not just mouth, but it's not just the mouth that talks, but also the numbers. That's what Pam says. Alan Moody says, best choice PM. Marlene P says, I know Faval will do well. All right. Angela Jones says, excellent choice. Samantha Gordon says, Faval Williams, good choice. Still going through the YouTube chat to see if there's anything else I can read. Not seeing anything right now. So we're just going to end it right here, man. Thank you as always for participating in Public Opinion. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Make sure to like the YouTube stream. And let's go to the business report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is...
It is 6:33. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. National Commercial Bank Jamaica Limited, NCBJ, says it has identified and is actively addressing a technical issue affecting Uber transactions made by some customers using their Visa debit cards. This issue resulted in certain transactions not being charged to customers' account, leading to unpaid balances and, in some cases, potential fraudulent activity. In a release this afternoon, the bank says during their review, they detected unusual activity patterns. This includes instances where some customers completed an exceptionally high number of Uber transactions, some exceeding 700 rides within a single month, indicating possible misuse or exploitation of the issue. The bank says as investigations continue, it will communicate with Visa debit customers regarding the funds owed and which will be processed for Uber transactions made. The bank has processed the owed balances where there are funds in the accounts or temporarily placed liens on accounts with insufficient funds until outstanding amounts are recovered. Accounts flagged for suspicious activity will be blocked pending further review. The U.S. economy grew solidly in the 3 months to September, expanding at an annual rate of 2.8%. Despite there being a slight slowdown from the prior quarter's 3% rate, the figures released by the Commerce Department showed the U.S. is on track for one of the strongest economic performances of any major economy this year. Consumer spending was the biggest driver, picking up from earlier in the year. The report arrives days before polls close in America's hotly contested presidential election, in which surveys have consistently indicated the economy is Americans' top concern. And finally, in the currency market, at the close of trading today, it cost 159 Jamaican dollars and 11 cents to buy $1 US. It cost 206 Jamaican dollars and 15 cents to buy 1 British pound and 114 Jamaican dollars and 48 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Good evening.
When Sagicor Bank thinks of a woman, here's what we see. We see business leaders managing sole trader businesses to large corporations. We see university graduates as our women uplift themselves academically. We see more home owners, ambitious women working hard to build their own legacy. We see leadership at home, with women proudly providing for and taking care of their families. We see entrepreneurs, Jamaican women playing a leading role in our economic growth. At Sagicor Bank, we see the invaluable contribution of women in the home, communities, businesses, and development of our country. That's why we're in their corner, supporting Jamaica's women as they strive to achieve their dreams.
Outlast, with top performance, Chakama, reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electricians. Fancy electrodes, free parts and free repairs. Free parts, free repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61114. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
Life gets busy, from work to play, but don't forget your health check.
The NHF card now offers discounts on PSA tests and pap smears to help check for prostate and cervical cancer. Women 21 and over get a subsidy for pap smears every 3 years.
And men 40 and over receive an annual subsidy for PSA tests. Get your NHF card today.
The NHF is here for health. The NHF is here for you. It's the Bringing the Budget to the People Town Hall meeting. Join Nationwide at 5 on Thursday, October 31 from 6 to 8 p.m. for this Town Hall meeting, or visit the Karam Speed Auditorium at the Merle Grove High School, 77 to 79 Constant Spring Road for all the details. So don't miss Nationwide at 5 on Thursday, October 31 from 6 to 8 p.m. It's Bringing the Budget to the People Town Hall meeting. Catch Nationwide at 5 at the Karam Speed Auditorium at the Merle Grove High School, or tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, working better to serve you.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between. Bulletins After Dark with Kareem Bulletins, each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Bulletins After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Bulletins After Dark.
Nation's Business is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us or staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the nation's business. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
You alright?
Mm-hmm.
What's the jig?
My God, people are so down.
No, I'm not saying
I want to
there's
go vibes, just relax.
So there's a vibes.
Mm.
Okay. Alright. My vibes bugs. Anyhow, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced Friday, November 22 as the date for 2 by-elections, one in Northwest St. Andrew, the other in South Trelawney. Nomination day will be next Wednesday, November 6. The announcement was made this morning during the weekly post-cabinet media briefing at Jamaica House.
A by-election in Northwest St. Andrew has been occasioned by the resignation and departure of outgoing MP and Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark. Councillor for the Chancery Hall Division, Dwayne Smith, is the JLP's presumptive candidate in that constituency. Meanwhile, in South Trelawney, the by-election is due to the resignation of the constituency's veteran MP, Marissa Dalrymple-Filbert.
Now, listeners, you'd recall Dalrymple-Filbert, who's a former Speaker of the House of Representatives, stepped aside last September following a report from the Integrity Commission that recommended that charges be laid against her for making false declarations about ownership of a motor vehicle, and that matter, of course, is still before the courts. Now, the Prime Minister says, in listening to the desires of the people of South Trelawney, Dalrymple-Filbert will return as the JLP's candidate in the constituency. According to the Prime Minister, he believes Mrs. Dalrymple-Filbert's willingness to return to representational politics was inspired by her constituents.
She really respected the perspectives of the public with whatever was accusations were laid in the public domain, and she thought it was the honorable thing to do. But I think that as she went through the constituency and people kept demanding that she return, and she does have quite a popular support in the constituency. So, it's really the will of the people, and we will see the will of the people exercised in the by-election.
That's Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Meanwhile, Local government by-elections are also set for Friday, November 22. Therefore, the Morant Bay and Enantown divisions, they were made vacant following the passing of Councillor Rowan Bryan in Morant Bay, St. Thomas, and Councillor Marjorie McLeod McFarlane in Enantown, Clarendon. For reactions, we're being joined by economist and social commentator Sandra Roden and political commentator and editor-in-chief for the Western Mirror, Lloyd B. Smith. Good afternoon, good evening, rather, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening to your listeners.
Lloyd B. Smith, I'll give you the first bite of the apple. Your reaction to Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert returning to representational politics?
For me, it is an inconvenient situation. I think given what still hangs over her head and the perception out there in the wider public, not just in South Trelawney, the basis on which the Prime Minister says that she should return, to me, are spurious, because if we take that stance, then, well, it means that just about anybody, no matter what infraction, no matter what moral issues they may have in terms of their being in public office, once the people say they want them, then they should be there. And I think that's a bad precedent that is being set. There must be some amount of honor in our politics. Mm-hmm. And I don't see it in this case.
Yeah, and that's an interesting question, because I've been grappling with it in my own mind. You say there must be some amount of honor, but if we live in a democracy and the people who are to be directly represented by the MP or the individual in Parliament say this is the person we want to represent us, to override the will of the people in that way, wouldn't that be undemocratic? I don't for a second suggest that it's an easy answer. I don't know if I have a clear answer, but I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, you're showing me a Google, but let me put it this way. Democracy in itself is not finite, and it is not the be-all and end-all of politics. There has to be room within even our democratic process for probity, for transparency, for honesty, and for moral integrity. I think that in this particular case, it would have been better for Mrs. Dalrymple to wait until the matter in court had been settled, etc., and then maybe one could revisit her return. Yes, she has apologized, and yes, she stepped aside, but then we are told that she did the honorable thing to resign. So are you saying to me now that she's now doing the honorable thing to come back? Isn't there a disconnect there?
And Sandra Roden, that's where I'd like to bring you in. Is it wise at this particular moment for Marissa Dalrymple to make a return to the House of Representatives, considering the matter regarding the Integrity Commission and her filings is still within the courts?
Well, based on what I can infer, Marissa Dalrymple Philibert's return as a presumptive candidate for South Trelawney reflects the party's effort to maintain continuity and leverage her previous influence or her continuing influence within the constituency. Her reinstatement, despite the controversy surrounding her resignation and the findings from the IC, suggests possibly a strategic move by the JLP to stabilize its own position in the seat of South Trelawney, especially using a familiar face ahead of what could be a tough general elections in 2025. So, considering it's a move for them to do that, the low-hanging fruit is the matter that's in the court. But considering the protests, etc., the Jamaica Labour Party has that onus to decide how they move forward, and they chose her.
But isn't that specifically the problem that Lloyd B is raising, that the JLP seems to be elevating their own partisan interests above standards?
Well, to be honest, the hope always in politics is that we move above the fray of just party's interest. But when it comes to elections and selections and election season, it then narrows down from the governance aspect to the political aspect of it. And even though I know our politics has kind of more evolved over time, when it comes to being the government, the party in power, or even the party in opposition, whatever it is, if there's public scrutiny, yet they have the opportunity based on the support in the constituency for a candidate, they will end up choosing that candidate. And I agree with you as it relates to governance. I agree with Lord B. Smith. Yes, there is that shadow. But there's also, when it comes to politics, does the party select the candidate that the people want, or do they select another candidate and then throw their chances up in the air? I doubt any person in any political party would want to throw their chances up in the air, which is the issue. And I think there's eggshells there when you look at both issues that coincide.
No, it doesn't seem that they're eggshells, Sandra. It seems you're saying that the JLP is right to put its political, to seek its political advantage. Governance be damned.
No, governance can never be damned, which is what I'm saying. I'm saying to you there are eggshells in the sense that a political party can show at any given point what their choices are. And those choices are determined by their committees, etc. Now, political parties serve the purpose of winning elections. They listen to constituents or they make their selections and then they go about winning elections. But many times in our history, in Jamaica's history, parties have consistently chosen candidates that benefit their
I appreciate that. So the question is, should it be that way? Should we be looking to change that laid out history that you're pointing to, or do we stand by?
That's something that we should definitely be looking at as it relates to the idea of how do we select our candidates. That's something that we have to be looking at. There is the concept of democracy, I heard the question about undemocratic, which is a really tough one. I agree with you that there are questions that you have to ask. How do you balance? So I'm saying to you, there's still a balance. You have to look at how do you balance selecting a candidate, and then that other side of it, we're looking at governance, which is very important because we want the best people, we want the most integrous people, we want the honest people in Parliament over the nation's affairs. So that has to be a consideration as well.
But even, let's look at just the politics of it. I mean, yes, the political battle for South Trelawney, I'm sure she would be best placed to win that there, if there's even a political battle. I mean, the PNP says they're not even going to contest any of the constituencies, only the divisional matters. But on the wider scale, when we look at the matter of the perception that the Holness government has been struggling with in terms of corruption, is it wise, or does it put the Prime Minister in more political precariousness by putting a candidate who has been cited by the Integrity Commission back in their position?
Who's that for?
Lloyd B., Sandra Run, either of you could take that one.
Yeah, well, it is in the very final analysis, it is setting a wrong precedent. And we have to be careful, because there's a tremendous amount of hypocrisy that is now pervading the political landscape in this country, and it seems as if it's going to get worse. We have seen, for example, where there was a great deal of uproar when certain persons appeared at the PMP's conference based on their running with the law. We have seen where a certain gentleman is supposed to be running over in Portland again, and there was a big to-do about it. I'm saying that where do we draw the line in terms of, morality? Where do we draw the line in terms of the whole business of integrity in public office? Are we just saying that politics is an expedient matter, and whatever is right in terms of the populist view or the popular view, then we go with it? I think we are treading on very dangerous grounds. I'm not saying that Mrs. Dalrymple-Philibert should not return, but I'm just saying that the timing is wrong. It is sending a wrong signal to our young people, to the nation at large. We can't just... South Trelawney is not a fiefdom. It is not a little kingdom within Jamaica. It is part of the overall Jamaican political tapestry. And so whatever happens there is a microcosm of the wider society. And one has to be careful that we are not chipping away at moral standards, just for expediency. Yes, she's a popular person in the constituency, and yes, she's going to go back into Parliament. But, I mean, where does that leave us in a very final analysis? I really have a problem with it, and I cannot resile from that position.
And I want us to really assess this issue of morality, because there's obviously the question, Lloyd B., as to whether if the Integrity Commission makes an adverse finding against you, any finding, then it amounts to a moral failing. Because in this instance, it was failing to declare an asset, right? Is that a moral failing? When somebody forgets to file their statutory declarations, as a sitting member of Parliament did and was cited by the Integrity Commission, is that a moral failing? When a candidate, hold on. When a candidate who is seeking to enter the Parliament, another on the opposition side, was also cited. So we have had citations from the Integrity Commission across the board. And I just want to understand what we consider to be, when we say moral failing, what rises to that level? And I ask this question because, as I say, I've been grappling with it, and I've been reading the comments from people in South Trelawney, and they seem to be saying this should not be disqualifying. Right? Yeah.
Who are they? Let's be realistic here.
Well, the people who will have to ultimately make the decision as to who represents them in the Parliament.
It's not the entire population of South Trelawney that is saying that he should return, sir.
And certainly those who are
supporters. Let us be specific here.
No, and certainly no. Hold on, but Lloyd B. But certainly those who are opposed to her candidacy can either vote against it or abstain from the vote. So obviously, I'm talking about those with the intention to vote for her.
Yes, but it is still there's still a moral issue, and in this case, for example. As was stated by she did the honorable thing, quote and unquote, to step aside.
Right.
Shouldn't she therefore do the honorable thing and wait until whatever happens in the court, whether she's exonerated or otherwise? Wouldn't that be the appropriate procedure to follow?
But then Lloyd B. Doesn't that raise the question, Lloyd B?
Integrity Commission to disregard the court, to disregard.
And that is what I want you to focus your mind on. And that's what I want you to focus your mind on. Is it that we're saying that the standard should be any citation, adverse citation by the Integrity Commission is disqualifying from the Parliament? Is that the standard we want going forward?
Well, we are having a serious problem, because if I may broaden our discussion a little bit.
But before you broaden it, I want you to just answer that question for me. No, because I think that's what it turns on. What do we consider disqualifying?
I think I wouldn't perhaps use the word disqualify, but I would say that the person should recuse himself or herself until matters have been sufficiently resolved.
So then Michael Phillips should perhaps resign from the Parliament until there is a resolution?
He should have recused himself, certainly. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, hold on. There's a difference now between recusal and resignation. So,
no, but listen, in the case of Michael Phillips,
yes.
My understanding is that he did not whatever he was supposed to have done.
Yes, he said he forgot to do it.
And then he said he forgot.
Right.
Well, in that case, if it is very similar to Dalrympe's case, then he should have done the right thing, the honorable thing, and step aside.
So the standard then is once there's an adverse ruling by the Integrity Commission, we require lawmakers to resign, clear their name, and then recontest.
Yes, look at what in the case of the current Minister of Agriculture. He resigned.
Yes.
And whatever.
But Lloyd B. Be fair though, he resigned from the cabinet. That is entirely at the discretion of the Prime Minister.
Yeah, but just a moment. If we are going, listen, we inherited what is known as the Westminster system.
True.
of parliamentary democracy.
True.
And when you look at the precedents that have been set in the Westminster system, these are issues where a minister or a member of parliament should automatically resign. We have a system in Jamaica where nobody wants to resign and nobody resigns.
Yes.
And so no standard is set. Don't you see what is happening? We are chipping away at the whole business of having probity and decency, common decency and honesty in our public life. And all we are saying is that if the person is popular,
Yes.
if it's a Robin Hood, if it is some convicted criminal who somehow can buy the masses in one way or another. This is where we are going, you know. We are going to reach a stage
But Lloyd
where
B,
we're going to end up with dons in Parliament.
But Lloyd B, we
My
have to
word.
look at it in another efficient manner. If I look back now on this last year or two in terms of Integrity Commission, I can cite at least 5 different occasions where an MP has been called into question by said commission for various reasons, whether it's failure to file a statutory declaration. We would ask each and those individuals to then resign from the House of Representatives, call a by-election again in each individual case to then return them to the House of Representatives.
Why should they return in the first place?
But even if it's not to return them, then we would require 5 different by-elections over the course of 2 years. And all this would pivot on the word of the Integrity Commission? Whether that word is
I think
accurate
he's
or
saying
not?
if they go to the courts and there's clearing.
To
Yes.
take you into a certain direction which you have not allowed me to, which is the matter of impeachment and recall. Because part of the problem in our constitutional arrangement is that up to this point in time, we have not sufficiently dealt with the matter of impeachment and recall of parliamentarians, right? And this is why we are playing around with the matter in this way. But there ought to be very straightforward rules, regulations, protocols governing how people function as parliamentarians and councillors and in public office.
But
we are not going in that direction. We are going in another direction where we are saying that we appeal to the highest common multiple. And we are going to destroy our sense of worth. We are going to, in the final analysis, nobody is going to be respected after a period of time. What message are we sending to our young people who may one day want to enter politics or may look on the whole question of governance? What is governance if this is how we approach it? To me, there's no sense of integrity. There's not even any sense of self-respect.
Sandra Roden.
Anything. And because my people say, boy, they want me, they're popular, I must stay there. No, I cannot and will not buy that as any form of precedent in a democratic system.
Understand and appreciate that, Lloyd B. But Sandra Roden, I'm wondering if the recall mechanism would work make a difference in this case, because assuming that you would have amassed the votes or the signatures to recall Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert, isn't it likely she should just be re-elected?
Yeah, and that's where the issues come, because there is a number of things. There can be one, politicization of the process, and then you really wonder a lot of times what the drawbacks are of recalls and impeachment and all those things. There's complexity, and sometimes in many cases burden of proof becomes issues. And then the question or the statement that a lot of people make is that alternative mechanisms already exist. The problem that I've been hearing in this conversation that we've been having is that when we look at how things are shaping up with I would call it the already politicization of the Integrity Commission, which I totally dislike, it has become if the Commission says it, then it's a problem, and then it needs to act. People need to act. So that's where we are now. That's what we're talking about now. And the problem is, it has already muddied the water. So now people are a bit unsure, like regular citizens are unsure. So wait, if the Integrity Commission calls your name, say you aren't charged, but if your name is called, if you were investigated, do you just resign? You know, that's the question that we're asking, which is a question that I think we should have never gone to that point. We should have gone to the point of figuring out what are our ethical standards, and do we need to have some clearly defined ethical standards for probably the political parties or for it, whether or not you are going to run for MP. And then the question of the democratic nature of it. In the end, it still will come down to the people to decide, because what if a candidate gets up and they say, okay, these are the things I have on my plate, but I have the popular support. I'm going to run independent, and we randomly see an independent person become member of parliament in Jamaica because they have the popular support. That's still democracy. What's going to happen next? Are we going to bar them from the parliament? Which means that if we're having this conversation, we have to look at if we're going to establish not just as stated, oh my God, we have moral and ethical standards. Yes, we have those, but then based on our democracy, she is a viable candidate.
I suspect this conversation is going to continue. Gentlemen, thank you for your input. I appreciate it. Lloyd B. Smith, Sandra Roden.
We can rule the day when we go down, continue to go down this road. We are chipping away at something that could end up making this country a banana republic.
Lloyd B. Smith, political commentator and editor-in-chief of Western Mirror. Sandra Roden, economist and social commentator. Lloyd B. Smith says, we may rule the day. You can make up your mind. We take the break, come back with more.
Nation's Business was brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Imagine opening a bank account without ever leaving your home. Well, at CIBC Caribbean, we've changed the game. Open a new CIBC savings or checking account completely online using your computer or phone, anywhere, anytime. No need to visit the bank, no waiting in line. Just apply, verify, and sign your documents, all online. It's secure, seamless, and 100% digital. Open your new CIBC account by applying online today.
So what you get? The new Popeye's blackened chicken sandwich, my girl. The flavor just hits different.
Blackened like it burn up?
Nah, man. Blackened because of the color of the Louisiana herbs and spices. Blackened like the flavor buck. No breading and the seasoning soaked deep in the chicken. But get yours and try it, cause me nah share yours. Get the new Popeye's blackened chicken sandwich. Limited time only.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
We're committed to reducing the impact of disasters occurring in Jamaica. Hurricanes can happen, so be prepared.
The 5% Club is now taking new members. Sounds exclusive? We don't want it to be. You see, it's made up of less than 5% of women who get screened for breast cancer in our country each year. At Sagicor, we've made it our mission to help to change the statistics. In fact, with 5,000 more women getting screened, we can officially become the 6% Club. And we won't stop there. So please get checked. Early detection saves lives. Go to bit.ly/5% Club JA.
It's the Bringing the Budget to the People Town Hall meeting. Join nationwide at 5 on Thursday, October 31 from 6 to 8 p.m. for this Town Hall meeting, or visit the Karam Speed Auditorium at the Merle Grove High School, 77 to 79 Constant Spring Road for all the details. So don't miss nationwide at 5 on Thursday, October 31 from 6 to 8 p.m. It's Bringing the Budget to the People Town Hall meeting. Catch nationwide at 5 at the Karam Speed Auditorium at the Merle Grove High School, or tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, working better to serve you.
Six minutes after 7, we're turning our attention now to the poverty index, an estimated 40% of Jamaicans who are considered poor are children under the age of 18. Now, that's according to the 2024 Multidimensional Poverty Index, MPI, which was released on Thursday by the United Nations Development Programme, the UNDP, and Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative.
Resident representative for the UNDP's multi-country office in Jamaica, Kishan Kode, says the number is under review but is nonetheless significant.
So the percentage of youth who are multidimensional poor today in Jamaica is still under review. It's, as Dr. Henry mentioned, it's a significant, important challenge, but it's even more complex when you try to understand the state of youth poverty into the future, post-2030.
Globally, the number of children categorized as poor is 584 million, or over half of the total 1.1 billion. Nearly half the world's poor live in sub-Saharan Africa, and over a third live in South Asia. 9.1% live in East Asia and the Pacific, while 4.6% live in the Arab states.
Now, Latin America and the Caribbean accounts for 3%, while Europe and Central Asia came in at 0.2%. The 2024 report pulled data from 112 countries with a total population of 6.3 billion people. For more, we're being joined by the chief statistician at the UNDP, Yanchun Zhang. Hope I pronounced that correctly. Zhang.
Yes, I'm here.
Miss Zhang?
Yes, can you hear me well?
I'm having a little bit of a difficulty hearing you. Could you speak up for me?
Yes. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, much better. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Walk our listeners through some of the key findings of the index for 2024.
Sure. This is the multidimensional poverty report we jointly released with Oxford's Human Development and Poverty Initiative every year. Then for a couple of years, we have been releasing this report on the International Day of Poverty Eradication, October 7th. So this year's report, released a couple of weeks ago, covered 112 developing countries, then covering 6.3 billion people around the world. That among those 6.3 billion people, 1.1 billion people are multidimensional poor. So multidimensional poverty complements monetary poverty. These are two different concepts. So when we describe multidimensional poverty, we also like to say poverty goes beyond income, right? So multidimensional poverty measures multiple deprivations at the household level. So we use the micro data from the household surveys. Then using this data, we assign a deprivation score to each of the households. Then if the household is identified as multidimensional poor, then everyone in the household is multidimensional poor. Then we calculate how many multidimensional poor people in a country. Then we calculate the poverty rate for this country. Then we also measure the intensity of the poverty. Then the product of these two indicators gives us the multidimensional poverty index value for a country. Then this year we updated the MPI values for 20 countries because we have 20 new surveys. In the case of Jamaica, we are still using the 2018 survey. So the number for Jamaica published in this year's report looks very similar to what appeared in the last year's report.
Ms. Zhang, what goes into the multi-dimensional score? As you said, it's more than just monetary. So what are the other aspects that are calculated in that privation?
Sure. So in the construct of multidimensional poverty index, we look at 3 dimensions, 10 indicators. The 3 dimensions are health, education, and standard of living. Then the 10 indicators are 2 health indicators, 2 education indicators, and 6 other indicators falling into the standard of living category. So these indicators capture the non-monetary aspect of deprivation.
Okay.
For example, in terms of health, we look at the nutrition, we look at the child mortality. Then in terms of education, we look at years of schooling and school attendance. Then when it comes to standards of living, we look at electricity, sanitation, drinking water, housing, cooking fuel, and assets.
Okay, and when you utilize these scores, are they set against a universal benchmark, or are they floated based on a regional average, country average? How is that calculated?
It's a very good question. What we published is called Global MPI report, Global MPI report, because we use the same cutoff for all the countries covered in the report. So the cutoff is the same. But we do also have countries developing their own national MPIs. So while individual countries developed their own multidimensional poverty index at the national level, we can design the index reflecting their country situations, in particular what deprivations are most important for the population in the country.
And how does Jamaica stack up in those three metrics of education, health, and the other being nutrition?
Jamaica's multidimensional poverty index value is 0.011, so it's quite low. Then the poverty rate, or we call it headcount ratio, is 2.8%, which means 2.8% of the Jamaican population is multidimensionally poor, based on the 2018 survey we have.
Okay.
But again, linking this number to the question you raised a little bit earlier, global MPI versus national MPI. So even though the global MPI numbers for Jamaica is quite good, because these numbers are quite low, but for example, you look at the national poverty line, then you can see almost 20% of the Jamaican population is under the national poverty line. That's the monetary poverty line set by the nation, by the country itself.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the recommendation in terms of strategies to lift the people who are now currently in poverty out, especially the children?
Yes. So that's one of the key findings updated in our report. We find over half of the 1.1 billion poor people are children, women under the age of 18. So in terms of the size of the population, that's 580 million people, almost 600 million people. And more importantly, in this year's report, we find those countries, some of the countries with relatively low poverty incidence, but their child poverty remains a concern. So we have put a title, we have included title in our report, Children Experience a Far Higher Incidence of Poverty in our report, because we really want to highlight the challenge faced by children in overcoming multidimensional poverty.
And Ms. Zhang, I'm very curious how health, in terms of how that factors into this idea of multidimensional poverty, because it tends to be a matter of access, and when it comes to in terms of access to health, it's usually a matter which is more concerned with monetary access rather than anything else. So how does that stack up in terms of children suffering from multidimensional poverty in terms of their access to health care?
Yes, for example, in the health dimension, we have two indicators. One is on nutrition, the other is on child mortality. Both are very, very child-related. So when it comes to nutrition, we look at the nutrition status of everyone in the household, including children, but also including adults. But for children under age 5, for example, we look at the height for age data and as well as the weight for age data. Then for children between 5 and 19 years old, and between 5 and 19 years old, we look at their PMI for age data. Then for the child mortality, we look at whether there's any child under age 18 has died in the 5 years preceding the survey. So these two indicators, for example, are very, very child-related. But even for the education indicators, year schooling and school attendance, also it captures a lot of challenges and deprivations suffered by the children. There's a very, very, very specific group of population. In terms of years for schooling, we are looking at whether no household member of school entrance age plus 6 years ever completed 6 years schooling. Then for school attendance, we are looking at whether any school-age children in the household is attending school or not, up to class 8.
Chief Statistician at the United Nations Development Program, Yanchun Zhang, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. 18 minutes after 7, we're going to take a break. And after the break, we'll time for your calls, 63093. 618-8255. That's the number to call tonight.
The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development celebrates November as Local Government and Community Month under the theme Local Government at Work, Facing the Future Together. And you are invited to our National Church service on Sunday, November 3 at 10 a.m. at the Webster Memorial United Church, 53 Halfway Tree Road, Kingston. You can find the date, time, and location for all other events and activities at www.localgovjamaica.gov.jm. Come celebrate Local Government and Community Month with us.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90FM is searching for business development executives to build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
The Watchman. Exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional. Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. Bon voyage, Dr. Nigel Clark. George Washington, the first American president, is credited with this timeless quote: "Success has many fathers, but failure is an orphan." This is true of Nigel Clark, the most recent in a succession of finance ministers who failed to achieve significant growth of the Jamaican economy. Clark's singular failure in an otherwise creditable performance during his tenure at the finance ministry may be explained by the following scenario from business. It is commonplace among multinational corporations with subsidiaries or branch operations in far-flung places, when one of these starts to bleed red and to threaten the group financial performance, for the chief executive officer, CEO, to send in a manager with a well-earned reputation for implementing tough draconian measures toward righting the ship. This individual is given a single mandate: stop the bleed. Upon arrival at post, like a surgeon, scalpel in hand, he starts by cutting costs, in the process making few friends and many enemies. after years fighting internecine warfare, maybe enduring a labor strike or two, and putting the financials in a better place, the embattled Mr. Scrooge is extracted and sent to his next assignment. He is succeeded by someone with a more engaging, people-centric leadership style, better able to inspire workers to increase productivity and profitability by investing in their development and well-being. It takes a different mindset, approach, and even philosophy to make the switch from cost containment and austerity to development and growth. Think back over the history of Jamaica's relationship with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, starting in 1963 during the Prime Ministership of Right Honorable Sir Alexander Bustamante. Recall the troubled period of the 1970s with Michael Manley at the helm. Through these episodes to the present time, the IMF's motives and modus operandi have remained stubbornly inflexible, antithetical to growth, and anti-developmentalism. That the work of fixing the fundamentals of the economy, started by Dr. Peter Phillips of the PNP and perfected by Dr. Nigel Clarke of the JLP, was urgent and necessary, was never in doubt. Jamaica was in a dark place. But balancing the books without balancing lives has a predictable outcome electorally, as both the PNP and the JLP will attest. One thing we can be sure of, having righted the ship, Nigel Clarke will better serve the IMF's neoliberal, monetarist economic philosophy as one of its 4 deputy managing directors than he would serve Jamaica's interests were he to continue as finance minister at this particular juncture, when the priority must shift to equitable and inclusive growth. He demits office at the Finance Ministry at the end of this month, October 2024. Let Dr. Nigel Clarke go in peace. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
Ready to make every step count? The CB Group UE5K is back for its 13th year, and together we're changing lives. And this year we're aiming for 100 more scholarships, 100 more dreams fulfilled. Join us on Sunday, November 24 at 6:30 a.m. at UE Mona. Let's run for dreams, run for hope, and run for a brighter future at the CB Group UE5K and Run with Passion Kids K. Register now at runningeventsja.com and let's make a difference one step at a time.
With Jamaica Automobile Association, membership is a win-win. Enter the JAA Fuel Up promotion and you could win the grand prize of JAA Gold membership for 1 year plus fuel valued at $240,000. Just purchase, renew or upgrade your JAA membership or use your individual JAA advance card to buy at least $10,000 of fuel a month. So fuel up! There's also monthly prices of $20,000 in fuel. Enter now. JAA Fuel Up promotion ends December 13, 2024. Conditions apply.
It's the Bringing the Budget to the People Town Hall meeting. Join Nationwide at 5 on Thursday, October 31 from 6 to 8 p.m. for this Town Hall meeting, or visit the Karam Speed Auditorium at the Merle Grove High School, 77 to 79 Constant Spring Road for all the details. So don't miss Nationwide at 5 on Thursday, October 31 from 6 to 8 p.m. It's Bringing the Budget to the People Town Hall meeting. Catch Nationwide at 5 at the Karam Speed Auditorium at the Merle Grove High School, or tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, working better to serve you.
Taboo topics. Bulletins after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Bulletins after dark with Kareem Bulletins each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Bulletins after dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Bulletins after dark.
It's Nationwide at 5. We're taking your calls, and to remind you, the number to call is 618-8255. That's the only number that's up and running tonight. So that's 618-8255. Siobhan Campbell.
Ricardo Brooks.
Who's winning next week, Tuesday?
Ah, boy. There's the question, huh?
Yeah, answer it.
I want to stay on the fence this time, but I still think it leans towards Harris winning. I've resigned myself to say that is possibly where the election is turning.
He said resigned himself. That's crazy. 618-8255. Come tell us what's on your mind. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts, listeners, on the new cabinet appointments. The movements around, and what you think they mean. I'm very much interested to hear those. Cleveland is first. Good evening, Cleveland. Cleveland.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
What are going?
Hello?
Yes, good evening, Cleveland.
Well, I don't know. Me really I get deaf because just mono low.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you there now.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening to you both.
What's on your mind?
Mr. Lightby Smith.
Yes.
Tell him for me, say, don't worry about Miss Dalrymple.
Okay.
What he must do worry about what's happening in his party.
Man, what is that?
Right? First thing, them have the wrong leader. And some of the other people that I see them parading, especially when they're at a conference. They're parading up on Rustum and the platform there.
So what you mean them have the wrong leader? What you mean? What you mean them have the wrong leader?
They have the wrong leader, that's what I say.
Oh.
So the majority of our people, they're having the wrong leader. I'm not racialism or what, racial about anything. Them have the wrong leader.
Oh.
Right? And the people then were still creeping into the PNP there now. If at the first time, then couldn't have the deer staying there too long.
So who you think
would coming into the party there?
Who you think would be the right leader of the PNP?
A typical Jamaican, sir.
Oh,
that when he come down in a crowd, nobody can mistake him.
Is that what Patterson said? Is that?
Yes.
Yes.
Nobody won't able to mistake him.
Yes.
When he come into the crowd.
I hear you, Cleveland. What do you think about Minister Williams?
I congratulate her, man, and I was looking forward for her to be the Minister of Finance.
Yeah?
She's a bright lady.
Yes.
And I worry about that how she talk and what have you. That's not it. It's the work that she will put in.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
It's the work that we'll put in. And Miss Dana Morrison is a very good candidate too, as a minister.
Okay.
And as usual, Matthew is always a champion.
Yes. Okay. So you think
but
all will be well?
Them. We're going to take it to them, sir.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, man, and all with them so-called poll they're having. We're going to take it to them.
How are you planning on doing that?
And the vote will count.
Oh.
You don't say we start now, sir.
Tell me about it, no? Tell me about it. What I want?
But we start turn up the things, man.
Oh.
And get on the campaign. And you're going to say who are the better person.
Okay.
There's no way we can make PNP come back into this place now. The first thing they don't have the personnel to run this country. Right?
Yes.
They don't. And we don't want to fall back to where we were in the 70s and 80s, come up 90s.
I hear the Prime Minister Cleveland talking about PNPism.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yes, he's right. He's right.
Okay.
You see? And it's time for people to stop, going as if they don't see for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happens sometimes. They're afraid to criticize the PMP.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you say the Labour Party will take it to them now?
Yes, man.
Okay.
Yes, man. Yes, man.
All right.
So then who will be the champion?
All right.
You see?
We shall see.
Don't worry, Miss Dalrymple is a very good candidate, and the people then want her.
It seems so. It seems so.
And the PMP shouldn't be withdrawn because they don't. Just so when even the Northeast St. Anne thing were going, they were calling for the election, by-election in Southern Trelawney. So all of a sudden them just pull away from that. Don't understand it. Anyhow, take care of yourself, sir.
Have a good night, Cleveland.
Who? Bookman, good evening.
Yeah, Ricardo.
Yes, sir.
Sevan.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. Why are you not called to like this to come mumble jumble and things like that?
What do you mean?
Man, all is going. Man, going like he's without a moral fault, brother.
No,
man, all is that scratch around the place, brother. Like he's not a man without any moral fault, brother. He's not. You understand? And it's a man without moral fault, a paragon of virtue. Like the no People's National Party involved in a traffic war. He know about the French scandal. He know about the Iran sugar deal. Yet still join the PNP. I don't know what all of that like this come give me.
No, yeah, man, we're here. Yeah, but you heard the point he was making though about having standards in the politics. You don't think that's a fair point?
Standard, then if he did have standard, he would have joined the People's National Party after all those all that antecedents that PNP have. You tell me that.
But both parties have their challenges.
No, man, you talk about both parties. No, I am saying Lady is a man without any moral fault.
No, he never said no, man. He never said he did not have moral faults.
That is what he behaved like.
No, man, I don't think that's fair. He was saying that the politics.
That is my opinion of Lady.
Oh, I see. But he was saying.
I'm not telling you so Lady ever involved in anything untoward.
No, man, I know, but I'm saying it's not fair to say.
He behaves like a man like that.
Okay, all right.
You understand? So don't ask the man for anything to come. You might go scratch around, box shuffle, and you understand? You might go do that. We know that when you come with man like Lightbeat, man like the next one. I don't remember his name now. Well, I mean, it's hard to listen to man any better.
All right, Bookman. Jim?
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we're hearing you. Good evening.
Good evening. So this is my first time calling Nationwide.
Welcome.
Yes, so I must say that I think that it would be good to have a new government in the country because I think that it's good for democracy. And we saw where the last time when one government was in power for too long, what happened?
Yes.
So I don't think one person or when one government should have power for such elongated periods, as I think that can breed corruption, and Jamaica is already known for having high levels of corruption, as we are ranked very high on the world stage. Right? Secondly,
I don't know if that's true, but continue. Yeah.
Pardon?
No, I'm saying I don't know that is true, that we're ranked very high in terms of corruption.
You don't know that? You don't know that statistic?
No, that's no.
Okay, all right, no problem. And secondly, I wish that Jamaica would move away from tribalistic politics.
Yes.
Soon and very soon, because it's not good for the country at all. It's not good that you might have leaders who are underperforming policies that are not working. And regardless of that, you still have people who just seemingly do not care and would vote regardless of how the country is being run and the state that the country is in. However, I do understand that the two parties had a role or has a role to play in that aspect of how our voters think. So maybe if that were to change, they would also have a huge role to play. But I don't know if that might be to their benefit to let it stay the way it is at the moment. I don't know. I don't want to say things that are not true.
May I ask you how old you are?
I am 26.
26. I'm going to go back to the original point you made. You said that you think that one party being in power for too long is bad for democracy.
Yeah.
And there are some people who would agree with you. But I want to ask you, though, is it a situation where you think a government should change just so that we can just refresh? Or do you think the change should happen based on their record of performance or non-performance?
I don't want to say fresh because I like continuity. So I think that let's say if I should say fresh.
Yes.
Would you imply that are you implying that they should change all of the policies and all the things that the previous government was doing and do something completely different, even if they were working? No, I wouldn't want that. But let's say government A, they are failing to deal with education.
Right.
And government B has very good policies for education.
Right.
But government A has been in power for 8 years.
Right.
And we are not seeing any improvements in the educational system. Therefore, we should try to give government B a chance to see if they can work on education and continue with the policies on crime and, let's say, the economy if they're working. And let's try to focus more on education so we can have a more holistic approach and have different views, different aspects of the system that we are working on at different times. So maybe 2 terms max would be good for each party, each leader.
Okay.
And that way you won't lose your way either, and you won't lose your focus, and you won't lose your drive.
Yeah.
Because maybe if you're in power for too long, you could lose your drive, you could lose your interest.
Right.
And you might not realize what you're doing isn't working, but you just want to be in power, so it doesn't matter to you.
Do you vote?
Yes, I vote.
Yeah. And you plan to vote at the next election?
Yes, I do. I plan to vote.
Right. And so when it comes time to make that decision, what are some of the things that you consider?
Pardon?
When it comes time to make the voting decision, what are some of the things that you consider?
What are some of the things that I will look at? Well, I will look at, for one, see, I'm a university student,
Yes.
And I must say that I am struggling. I'm really struggling right now. So
you mean financially?
My lifestyle, my living is it cost of living for me?
Okay.
Yeah, I cannot. It's hard for me to survive right now. I don't even know. Right now I have exams coming up. I don't even know I'm going to clear my fees to pay for those exams. I don't even know I'm going to pay my rent for the next 2 months. So those are things that I would look into. Also, where I'm from, violence seems to be spiking there. And it was a relatively peaceful area, peaceful parish, peaceful town, and violence is spiking there now.
Where exactly are you located? Not in the exact address, but in terms of which parish are you located?
I'm from Manchester.
I kind of figured it.
Right.
Yeah, so I have to look at those things. So those are two of the main things that I would look into. Also, for one more thing that I like to look into as well is performance and the structure of the education system. Where I don't know if it's efficient enough. I see where the government is trying. I have to give them their plaudits because they do try. They have done a lot of good things. I do, but I just think it's time for a change. So yeah. And
that's fine. But what do you think you will achieve from that change? In other words, what do you think you will achieve from that change? In other words, what do you see, I suppose, on the other side that says to you that things like the cost of your rent or being able to clear your fees or a drop in crime in Manchester would happen?
Well, what do I? Well, to be honest, I'm not really sure what I'm seeing either. But let's say it's good to give them a chance, and I believe that if we give them a chance and they're not doing well either, I would change my vote just the same. So,
but can I ask you?
Sorry, let me just ask you, Siobhan. As in, change it back to the current government.
Not the current government, but change it back to a different government to give a different government a chance.
But can I ask you, Jim?
If I'm a voter and what I want isn't being achieved, I cannot continue to vote for the same people who are not meeting to my needs. Why would I do that? I have to vote for something else. I have to try something new to see if these people can attend to my needs, not necessarily my needs, but the needs of the people.
No, but it's fine if you want to vote on what you consider your personal priorities. But can I ask you, what have you heard in terms of policies coming from the People's National Party or the current government in terms of what you feel could uplift your situation? As you said, you're finding issues with crime, education.
One thing I like with the People's National Party as well is that they, I'd say they're more people-centric. So they think about more like the social aspects of the society, and they try to correct the social problems that we're having in society. And Jamaica is having a lot of social problems. So I would like to see some action in that aspect to focus more on social problems we're having in the country. Because you can try to fix the economy, but if you try to fix the economy and neglect society will still have problems even though the economy is fixed.
But how do you fix the social problems if you do not have the economic space to do it?
How do you fix the social problem if you do not have
the economic space to do it?
Yeah, well, you can use applied psychology. So
you're gonna have to explain. You have to explain that to me. What do you mean by that?
The community. You can reach out to the community. Applied psychology is just like how do I explain applied psychology? So one way of using applied psychology would be community psychology. So community psychology would just be you motivating people in your community to just work together to make the community better. There's a primary school in Kingston. I don't remember the name of the primary school right now, honestly speaking. It's somewhere on Maxfield Avenue or Walter Road or something like that, where there was a principal there who she changed the image of the school, identity of the school. She didn't use any money at all, and that school went from not having any traditional parties.
Are those comparisons?
No, but I'm just trying to show you that you don't necessarily need.
No. So I understand.
Economy, but
so
economy alone cannot.
Hold on. Let me.
In the country.
So let me explain what I mean. So I think what I understood you to be saying is that there was a rebranding of the school, right? Right. But what you are talking about, for example, when you talk about education, I assume you're talking about things like more schools. You're talking about things like paying teachers more. I assume you're talking about more resources for schools, smaller class sizes, right? Am I right?
Not necessarily more schools,
Okay.
But a more community-based approach.
So you keep saying that
a more humanistic approach to.
Yeah, so you keep saying that, but what does that mean? What is a humanistic approach to teaching? What does that mean?
Just teachers being more patriotic.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the government.
No, it doesn't have anything to do with the government.
No, but you said you'd vote. But you say you're going to vote the government out.
The government can do things that drives these stuff, that drives things like these, and make people more interested in doing things like these.
Like what? Like what we think?
Being more holistic and more humanistic. So if
what does that mean?
Say, right,
hold on, my brother. Hold on, because our listeners are, they're listening, and I want them to understand what you mean. And I mean, there are different ways of approaching governance. So when you say more holistic and more humanistic, what do you mean by that?
So let me continue to try to explain.
Yes.
All right. So if I'm the government and I'm looking into the schools and I'm seeing where violence is high,
right?
Violence is high in schools. I can say to the Teachers Association that then let's try to do more. Let's try to have more sporting inter-school events. Then, like say let's try to have more inter-school events within the school. So maybe like footballing events, etc., etc.
And you don't think there's enough sports in school?
That wouldn't necessarily cost school because
so you don't think
you don't have fifth farmers playing against fifth farmers.
So hold on.
Fourth farmers playing against fourth farmers.
So I got the idea.
More togetherness within the schools.
Okay,
and people from outside of the community can come inside the schools and join the schools and join their children.
And you don't think
the children, etc., etc.
And you don't think
everything doesn't necessarily have to be about money. Or money doesn't
so
solve all the problems.
All right. So you don't think there's enough sports in school?
I don't think there's enough togetherness. Then that's the thing. We don't have.
And that's a failing. Is that a failing
at all levels of the society?
Is that a failing of government?
In a way.
How so?
I would say because a lack of planning, a lack of policies, the rivalry between both parties, tribalism.
How is that? But how is that? Hold on, my brother. Hold on. You're running ahead of yourself. Hold on, no. Walk. Treat me as if I'm stupid. Want you to walk with me and hold my hand. So remember your premise, you know. You're going to vote out the government because you want to give the other side a chance. That was your starting premise. And you say you're giving them a chance because you think they are more people-focused. I put it to you that in...
because I think they're more focused.
People-focused, that's what you said. Right.
Yeah.
And you said you think they do more in terms of the social aspect of the country. That's what you said. And I put it to you that without the economic space, you really can't fix a lot of our social problems. And your response to me was that you don't need money to fix it. And therefore you proposed a more holistic, your words, and humanistic approach. You have now gotten to the point of saying that we need more togetherness. And you're blaming the government for that? For the absence of that?
But you have missed out some of the things that I said as well.
What did I miss?
Because I said I'm not blaming the government for it, right?
No, but you're voting.
Can do things.
But you're voting them out. So you're holding them accountable.
Can help. No, the government can do things that can help.
No, but if you're voting them out, aren't you holding them accountable for it?
And I said that I'm voting them out because my life is very difficult for me, and I'm finding it very difficult to survive.
Right. And do you think that the People's National Party is going to fix those economic hardships you're having?
Maybe. Let's see.
Oh, so you're taking a gamble. You're taking a gamble.
You left out something else. I also said if the People's National Party were to win the election, and they're not attending to my needs, I would have to, and they're not doing a good job, I'd vote them out just the same. You miss out that part.
No, I heard it. I heard it.
So that is another important thing, because if all Jamaicans were to think like that and not just be tribalistic in the way how they
so when you if you vote them in, so if you vote them in,
favoritism.
So if
maybe politicians, governments would have to pull up their socks.
All right. So if you vote them in, the People's National Party, that is, and you say they don't meet your needs, you're going to vote back the JLP in?
I would try something else, yeah.
What would that something else be?
It doesn't have to be the JLP.
Oh, who would it be?
It could be what's the name of the other party?
Oh, you'd vote for a third party?
Yeah.
I see.
It doesn't have to be the JLP. It could be anybody.
I
see. It could be an independent party, an independent individual.
And would that independent individual have a realistic chance of forming the government?
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. All right, my brother. Thanks for the call, and I hope you get some assistance with the rent and the tuition.
Also, you said something that is very telling.
What's that?
You said if I would vote back in the correct government.
No, I said current. I said current. No, I said current.
You sure you said current or correct?
I am positive that I said current.
Okay. Make sure.
Oh, I should make sure.
Under a lot of scrutiny.
Oh no, it is clear why you came here, my brother. But as I said, I am wishing you well with the rent and the cost of living. Have a good evening.
Man.
You see, I thought it important, Bugs, to follow it to its logical conclusion. because I saw what was happening a while ago. Anyhow, Ian, good evening.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm listening to the other gentleman here.
He came with an agenda, and when the agenda was falling apart, he resorted to name calling.
Yeah, as I listened to him, I remember listening to the Prime Minister quite recently saying that the PNPism is battling for the mind of the Jamaican people because the PNPism method is this free mentality. When he speaks about that whole social coming together, when really I talk about, it's coming together, drink liquor, have free food, free this, free all of those things, because that's the way the PNP run the country. They give away free things, and on the back end, a lot of corruption taking place. But I didn't call to focus on that. What I call to really do is to really congratulate Dr. Nigel Clark for his outstanding performance as a finance minister. I was trying to put that grade to him, but I couldn't come up with that grade really. But I think he did very well, and I also want to comment wish him well on his new path. I believe it's a blessing in the sky, not just for Jamaica, but for the region, to have someone elevate in that position. Now, in regards to the new finance minister, the legacy that Dr. Clark left, I believe anyone you put in that portfolio would be successful, because he has raised the bar so high that for the first in perhaps our time or my generation time, I born in the early 80s. You have seen a finance minister who actually wanted to do things in the sense where we're actually paying for our own road, where we are doing a lot of highway, we are using our own money. We bought our own buses cash. We giving back people money that pay their taxes. It speaks to a breath of fresh air. No new tax for what? I think 7 years or 8 years. No new taxes. These things are something that we Jamaicans thought only happen overseas. When we call a relative and they send my file and return to get back some money. I never know to see that happening here in Jamaica. So I believe what he has done, he has raised the bar so high that I believe, and I not to not say that the new finance minister, no. By the way, I congratulate her. Doesn't have the skill or the requisite skill. I believe she will add to what Dr. Clark has put forward as a finance minister. And I believe that one of the problems with us Jamaica, we need to, and I don't know if it's Jamaica or the Jamaica Labour Party needs to keep more the government rather. Let the people walk the path with you. Because Dr. Clark said something on the program with Mr. Hughes yesterday when he said that when Mr. Hughes said he would increase salary and all of those stuff, persons have gotten more wages now than ever before. But Dr. Clark said people are still having a challenge when they go to the tax office and have to wait 1-2 hours before they get through. When they go to JPS, they have to sit for hours. Those things are, when you're driving on the road, you see the potholes. So even though you're making more money, these other things are frustrating you, and you're still blaming the government. So the government is on a part in fixing these things. The Prime Minister also mentioned that to fix the pothole, that to fix all the road in Jamaica, if the government had the money, it would have taken 10 years. 10 years. So what he has started on a path to do is every year put aside $40 billion to go in and start doing what is necessary to bring Jamaica to that path. Because when the PNP was in government, if we should really look back at all the years of waste when other countries were growing and doing what they're doing. A lot of waste took place. That is why we are struggling so much. That is why when even what the government is doing, which is good, it looks like they're not doing anything because we have to be trying to catch up when we should have been here long ago. You understand my point? So it is really on that basis why I would say that, you know, we as a people, we have to appreciate what the government is doing and buy into the vision, and the government needs to sell the vision and let the people understand the path that we're going. Don't go back in the PMPism, the free mentality, the handout politics. Pass the thing and you vote a thing, you vote for me. And my boss that the time give me a thing and I see $1,000 done, then I see back in till another election again. We need to cut out those things.
All right. Appreciate the call. Roy, you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, good evening, Sir Siobhan and the other gentleman.
Good evening.
Pleasant good evening to your intelligence, you know. In relation to that young man that just called a while ago, the one that is, 26 or so?
25.
Yes, I was listening to that young man, you know. And really, that young man really sounds really confused, you know. He really does not have a clear policy. He cannot hold a really constructive argument. You know,
I don't think that was.
Yes,
I don't think that was his intention.
As Mr. Brooks pointed out, I don't think that's what he intended when he came here. He came with an agenda.
He said he is 26 and he's having educational difficulty.
I'm campaigning.
Because that is one of the main reasons I can call the program. Okay, have you heard about the student loan that there's no guarantor? That is one. Concerning his food financial buy groceries and all those things.
Roy? I don't think he wants any solutions, my brother. I don't think he wants any solutions. He just came here to make the point that the government should be voted out.
All right. He's talking about there is crime.
We're out of time, Roy. We're out of time. So sorry. No, I don't think he wants any solutions. He just came here to make the point that he thinks the government should be voted out. Dana Davey, thank you. Hardworking producer. Andrew Glenn Anderson, the man behind the controls. Siobhan says,
yeah, go ahead.
Siobhan says bugs. The girls them tugs. Colleagues in the newsroom, led by our editor Carl Powell, the best in the business. All our contributors, our sponsors, and you, our valued listeners, we appreciate you so much. Thank you. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good evening.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by